Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, buyatoyota.com is the place to go. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places.
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Better to have been a dynasty and fallen than never to have been a dynasty at all. By the way,
I
Matt,
wouldn't be surprised if he's back.
who's the last person who sat in this chair? I mean, just like pills.
Oh, nice.
Like, is she
mentioned
taking
about taking pills
Quaaludes
on the
or
air.
something? Like,
Those are pretty big ones.
yeah, they're big. They're big pills.
Maybe it's Midol.
Somebody will zoom in and say, "Oh my God,
They're on drugs.
yeah."
Why is Fred on birth control?
I have a tough. I'm
You all
falling
right?
apart over here. No.
I don't know.
I want to be Puka.
Puka Nacua.
I don't-
more
I
like
just don't
Pupu
know.
Nacua. Offensive players, like they don't want to play the formula. Let's run the ball and let's possess it and let's not turn it over and let's like win
Hit
this.
me deep. Hit me
Yeah,
deep.
right.
So
13 wins is still in play.
Oh my gosh.
One more call. Let's go to Dan in Daytona. What's up? It's on line three.
Damn it.
This is Radio America during World War II. The Allies have crossed the border and they're...
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Wednesday here at Gillette Stadium, and it's Deuce, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's Fred, it's Matt in the booth. We're continuing to dissect and analyze what we've been witnessing and hoping that we can start over and beat the Las Vegas Raiders this Sunday. What do we think, guys?
I think it's been another tough game. I mean, they got some good players. We know what happened last year there. Hard to shake that memory. But you know, it's. I think Evan laid it out yesterday. Max Crosby. That's the problem. I'm sure right now they're watching Vidarian
He's
Lowe.
a problem.
Getting ready to line him up over Vidarian Lowe plenty, and you know, and then the talent on offense too. It's enough. It hasn't really broken free yet. You know, the Patriots, the offenses look kind of similar statistically, but you look on paper and it seems like, all right, it's a matter of time before the Raiders have you know, a little breakout.
Yeah,
game.
I was just going to say, you know, this is the turn to page game, and, you know, we start focusing on the opponent. They've got the pieces. They've got pieces. And you can see, even though they're not scoring points, they have, you know, 3-4 plays that they string together that, you know, they could do something, then they make that mistake. But they've got the makings of points, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tricky game.
Yeah, it's I'm just dying over here still.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the Saints to me last week,
Yeah.
where I think, you know, Devontae Adams is probably better than Chris Olave, but in general, they have pieces in New Orleans offensively to be better than they were, and the Raiders are in the same boat where you look at it and you're like, all right, you got this offensive-minded head coach, you got weapons. What's the problem? I mean, I think their offensive line has struggled. Like, you can always go there with most offenses that struggle. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo, for what he is, the winner that he is, as everybody likes to tell us, he's a limited quarterback in a lot of ways that your quarterback is limited in. You know, is not. He's one of the worst statistical downfield throwers in the league. He's a bad deep ball thrower. Doesn't throw it aggressively, doesn't throw it accurately. Despite having Devontae Adams, he still can't hit a deep ball. And he's really one of those guys that lives in like the 10 to 15 yard range and on in-breaking routes, slants, digs, crossers, like things like that. And that's a pretty simple game plan for a defense. Take this away and we have a chance.
I'd feel better if we had Gonzalez and Judon, but you know, given what you just said, to me that's the key. There is Garoppolo. Can we get to him and just mess him up enough where, you know, we stall their offense? You know, can we do that with this defense?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the headlines for me is like new playmakers have to step up. This team hasn't forced a turnover in 3 games, you know? I mean, it's just at some point, if they don't start making plays, it's like as much as the offense might make some strides, it's not going to really matter if the defense doesn't, you know, start to kind of make some plays and you know,
Yeah.
get off the field in big moments or, you know, force interceptions. I mean, you know, the Raiders have had plenty of turnovers too, so maybe this is the week that they're able to get their hands on some balls. I mean, J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, both those guys haven't played a lot this year for, you know, obvious reasons, but they both have the ability to take the ball away, you know, J.C. So maybe one of those guys can get one. I think it's a big key this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where I'm predicting right now the Patriots will win the turnover battle. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's bold.
I'm predicting
Bold
that.
I
prediction.
thought you were
Cotton.
going to say you were going to say they were going to win.
I was looking for a different kind of prediction.
That
That's
comes
picks
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
during
Yeah.
picks,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
they will win the turnover battle.
The Raiders have turned the ball over a
Yeah.
lot. I
Yeah.
mean, 7 picks for Garoppolo, and he missed a game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, some of that is a little misleading, just like some late
Yeah.
game heaves. But
Yep.
they have turned the ball over a lot. And before last week, they hadn't been taking it away at all. Now they came up with 3 picks of Jordan Love Monday night.
Yeah, that linebacker. Who's that guy with the
Spillane.
Spillane? Where'd he come from?
Yeah, the play that the game-winning play was a really nice play by that Robertson kid.
Yeah.
Who looked like he was kind of beat initially on the play.
It was the Mac Hollins, Marcus Jones play from last year. That's what it seemed like to me, where, at the end where they went to Mac Hollins went up in the back of the end zone, and it was just like Marcus Jones was there but just didn't have the height. But that Robertson guy had like a 38-inch vertical, like went up to be able to get it.
I think
Wasn't
we're
it
I
the
think
Jaguars receiver that what's his name?
Yeah, Keelan Cole.
Keelan Cole.
And
yeah.
I think that was over Jonathan Jones, not Marcus Jones.
There was got to be one to Marcus
Jones, I think.
There was like
did
3
get-
times in a row they went Mac Hollins,
I think
Mac
they
Hollins,
did
Mac
on the
Hollins.
last drive. On that,
Maybe not the last touchdown.
It should have been the
but-
last drive, and we all know what happened at the last drive. But yeah, I don't think that drive that tied the game
Might be
has
thinking of
gotten
a
enough,
different touchdown. Oh, yeah.
has gotten enough attention because of the situation. I mean, they had a disastrous first half in that game last year. They were down, I want to say 17-3, something like that at the half. And then Duggar makes the pick
Same
six.
story.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right? Duggar makes the pick six and
Yeah.
gets you back in the game. And then you kind of wrestled control over the next quarter and a half or so. And you got yourself in a situation where if you could get a stop, you'd probably be in pretty good shape, and they couldn't do it. 4th and 10s, I think that's where your Mac Hollins stuff came in, Mike.
Yeah.
They started going to Mac Hollins on Marcus Jones a little bit. And then the touchdown that was the disputed play in the corner of the end zone where it looked like he may have been out ties the game. And you need a little bit more defensively, I think, in that spot.
I think in a way that because of all the issues with the offense, we didn't talk as much about the defense yesterday. And one of the most disturbing things from this game against the Saints for me was the 24% pressure rate on Derek Carr, despite blitzing almost 50% of the time. So they blitzed Derek Carr a ton in that game, and they still couldn't get to him.
Is that the Judon effect?
Without Judon,
That's
it's a big concern of whether or not they're going to be able to muster up really any pass rush without Judon, because they tried blitzing, they tried 4-man rushes, standard rushes, picks, stunts, whatever you want to call them. Like they tried pretty much everything to get
It's
after
funny
Derek
because
Carr.
I would
and they
argue
couldn't.
even on one of the sacks, they really didn't have pressure.
Miles Bryant's sack.
I
Yeah,
mean, that
it took like 10 minutes.
Carr took
yeah.
forever, and he
Yeah.
just decided, I'll just take the sack and we'll kick the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was 24% pressure rate is not good when you're blitzing 48% of the time.
On the offensive side of the
I
ball,
think you shook him.
do we think that we're going to see Tyquan Thornton back out
God,
there?
I hope so.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I
it's.
do.
And does that help?
We'll find out.
Don't
I mean,
have his definitive answer.
I mean, I gotta say, I like that. Their hand is forced a little bit. It's too bad that Pop is one of the guys that's probably going to be out. I'm assuming Juju and Pop will be out. So yeah, I mean, I think it's Juju, but maybe Keyshawn Boutte gets back in there. I mean, I'd love to see somebody. I mean, it seems like somebody's got to get some extra snaps. So if
Is
it's
it
not
Rager?
Thornton, who is this? Maybe
Instead of
maybe
Boutte?
Rager.
Who knows?
Maybe they're starting to sniff around some different pieces there, try to get some speed or something. But I just. I mean, we'd all love to see Tyquan Thornton get out there, make a couple plays, look fast, look like he's going to change the offense a little bit. I'm just, I'm not optimistic. I haven't seen that happen yet with him on the field.
One of the things, going back to the Dallas game, one of the things that they were doing really early that I kind of liked, the Patriots offense, there was a lot of motion, a lot of getting guys in motion. And I think doing that with Thornton will help, maybe get him a head start, so people don't get a clean shot at him at the line of scrimmage. I would like to see that if they're going to use him.
Yeah, I'm actually maybe a little bit more positive on Tyquan Thornton than most people. Maybe I'm taking the cheese, and that's my fault, and I'll be wrong again about this player. But in the spring, as limited as he was at times in the spring and in camp, it felt like Bill O'Brien had a plan of how are we going to get this guy off the line of scrimmage, to your point, right? Motion, stack alignments, playing him out of the slot, like different things that you can do to get him away from press coverage. I think last year, a lot of the time they just played him at the X and he saw a lot of press coverage and he's just too small to get off the line of scrimmage against good corners and physical corners. If they can find a way, just like Miami does with their speed guys and other teams do with their speed guys, to just get him into foot races out on the football field and basically create, games of tag all over the place where it's not a physical battle, then I think that he can help this team. They don't have a lot of guys on this team that can run by somebody with speed.
It's such an opportunity for him too, just like where the team is at, where he's coming into a spot where they probably going to be down 2 receivers anyway. So it's, kind of a spot waiting for him to step in and have a role in this offense. So it's a huge opportunity for a second-round pick in his second year, and it's, I don't want to say it's now or never, but it's kind of now or never.
It's now or never.
And they did, and you guys, I think, Evan, you said when you got back from practice that starts the clock, and it indeed did. When we found out at 4 o'clock on the wire that, so to your point, Mike, there's 3 weeks. So it is now or never. Like it's time for him, and they need it with those 2 guys out. Opportunity there for him. Absolutely.
And in terms of the atmosphere, I think this will be a welcome relief for the team, particularly Mac Jones. I think, it's probably going to be 50% Patriots fans, and they're probably not the type of fans that are going to be booing. They're there to have a good time, and they're not, I'd say as impatient as the home fans. So I think that's going to be good for Mac.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, weather's not going to be a factor because we're indoors. So
we said that in Dallas.
Yeah, I know.
Or in the most gorgeous day I've ever seen a football game played at Gillette Stadium on Sunday.
That's pretty nice.
But the atmosphere was tough.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
I could hear the Packer fans the other night. Like, I mean, it's, the away team
I
usually
wanted
has
to
a
ask-
contingent.
It's
wanted to ask
interesting.
Freddie.
In the NFL, I've noticed more and more that these games are less hardcore home field advantage games. Like, I think maybe because the price of the tickets or
Do you
whatever.
mean Vegas specifically? Or just
No,
across the
anywhere.
league?
I don't
anywhere.
agree.
The secondary markets are such that it's so easy to buy these tickets now and make money if you're a season ticket holder that they're doing it, and they're getting bought by people who want to travel. There's more and more road fans at these games now, I think, than ever.
I think there are some enormous home fields. I don't think you'd see that happen in Kansas City. I don't think you'd see it happen in
that's an
Seattle.
outlier.
I think Vegas is an outlier.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like in Green Bay a few weeks ago, there was a ton of Lions fans there for
In
that
Dallas,
Packers
there was a
Lions
ton
game.
of Patriots fans.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Patriots
I
had
didn't
started,
hear any of them. I mean, I know
Oh,
everybody says that.
I
but
know.
I don't
that
know-
Green
I mean,
Bay
I don't
game,
know about
the
that.
Monday night game, that sounded like a home
but
game.
there was
for
nothing
Green
to
Bay.
cheer about. But I'm telling you, it was like 35-40% Patriots fans at Dallas.
No,
Okay,
I mean,
it sounded about 98% Green Bay fans.
the
other night
the
at Vegas.
Packers
Because they
released
were
a
doing
statement on
something.
it.
because it's Vegas.
The Packers released a statement saying that we know there were a lot of Lions fans at Lambeau
Right.
last night. We're sorry. Please don't sell your tickets to
But that's
people
happening.
from Detroit.
That's happening, though. They're putting them on the secondary market.
That'd be
And
something to keep an eye
they
on.
can't control who buys
You
them.
certainly know a lot more about that stuff than
I'm-
I do.
I'm
I
telling
wouldn't,
you.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
argue with
Well,
you
you're
on
there,
it.
but I think Vegas is unique, and I've read
Vegas-
articles about
Vegas-
it's a mishmash.
Yeah, Vegas,
It's
Arizona.
it's like the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because
San
my
Diego,
initial
it's like
reaction
that
would be,
too.
there's no way there's going to be a ton of Patriots fans. But I think Vegas is different.
Vegas is definitely different. There's always more. L.A., there's
Yeah.
always more
Yeah.
because they're destinations. But I'm telling you,
But like,
places,
there's not going to be a ton of Patriots fans in the Buffalo game when they play at Buffalo.
but
Like,
places like Green Bay and like that historically it would be all green and gold. You're seeing more and more road fans going because it's just easier to buy tickets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, specifically to the Lions, too, I feel like when a new team is kind of on the upswing and they've been looking up at the Packers for a while, and it's like, hey, let's drive to Wisconsin and get some
Right.
cheese curds and watch the
it's
Packers.
it's Lambeau. You finally have a good team. Let's make that a destination. I think Vegas is a destination.
Yeah.
There's
I
also
think
just
Dallas,
a lot of people, speaking as one that was a transplant out on the West Coast at one point in time. There's a really, really big LA Patriot contingent.
Oh, sure.
And Vegas is a 3-hour easy, in the desert type of drive.
Why not? If you're going to pick a road game.
Oh, I would have
That's a
done it.
go to
destination
Vegas.
game. Like, a few years ago they played in Nashville. That was a big destination game. I think Dallas was too. But I'd be surprised. I mean, like I said, I trust Freddie because he knows more about this stuff than I do. but I'd be surprised if that's a
Yeah.
thing that.
Well, you guys are in
Like
the
every
stadiums,
week,
though.
Green
You're
Bay's
in the
gonna have to
stadium.
fight
You see.
that.
I mean, we
Oh,
only
yeah.
get what's
I have to
on
admit,
TV.
I pay zero attention
Let
to
me
the
tell you,
crowd
Ed Dowd,
when I'm
if
in the
there was
stadium.
something to cheer for, you would have heard the Patriots fans. There were a lot of them.
It's
a
an
lot.
all 22. It's not an all 65,000. All right?
I could not care less, but not like to the fans. Like just on a game day, that's not really where my focus.
You're
is.
not just
Gotta focus.
scanning the crowd looking for hot chicks in the stands now.
I like to tease Evan, but I
No.
largely agree with him. I don't really notice that. I mean, the other night it was hard to miss it, to Freddie's point. And I know that he's right about the Green Bay-Detroit game, too. There were a lot of Detroit people there. But the other night it was, like, noticeable. There was good things happening for Green Bay, and you couldn't tell. I mean, when good things were happening both teams. Because the Raiders crowd is loud. So even when they were scoring, there was a roar that wasn't really all that different than when Green Bay was scoring.
Yeah, be interesting what it sounds like this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, if there's something to cheer for, you're going to hear it for obviously both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
I think
that's just
Vegas
one of the,
deals with that every game.
That's just one.
Yeah.
I think you're right. That's just one of the intangibles that you talk about this game that it's going to be different from the last game when they were home. It could be a more welcoming environment, believe it or not.
No, I don't think it's going to be.
I wonder what it's like for the hockey team there, the Golden Knights that just won the Stanley Cup and
Oh,
stuff.
God,
If that's similar kind of.
So we went to the
environment.
game last year
Oh, yeah.
before the
yeah.
Patriots Raiders game last year. I went in and saw my old friend Bruce, and I gave him a standing O when they announced him on the bench. Yep, I was very excited to see
Yay.
Bruce. But at the same time, it was like the people around us. It's bachelor parties. It's like people that are there for like. There's no Golden Knights fans,
Like the hardcore people.
No,
like,
it's not like it was like in the we went to a preseason game like a couple weeks ago. You would have thought that was a regular season game. I mean, the place when the Bruins scored a couple times, the place erupted. Like when you were in Vegas, it was just kind of like guys are like talking about other things.
Wasn't that
as
the
well.
weekend that that was Jerry's incident at the Raiders game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
there was a big
right.
fight at the game you were at.
Was
right?
there?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see I go to a ton of Bruins games, and it's interesting to see the difference between like a Bruins crowd and a Vegas Golden
Right.
Knights crowd.
There's
it's
guys.
quite different.
There's like guys in the crowd last night. Like, I don't know. I got tickets. I guess they're raising a banner or something. Like,
Yeah,
you want to
yeah,
go? I don't.
yeah,
We
yeah.
got nothing else to do.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
Freddie,
talking about what we're gonna do after the game, like things like that.
do you think, because obviously that is a huge element of the Vegas teams, it's that kind of novelty thing. Do you think that's sustainable, that you get a lot of, because they don't care right now because their buildings are full.
Yeah.
But like, how many years in a row are you making the trip to Vegas to see your team?
Right.
Like right now, that's pretty cool. We'll go to Vegas. We'll catch a Bruins game. We'll go to Vegas. Catch a Patriots game.
It was fun.
But you're going to do that like every year?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I don't
Like,
know.
it- try.
It doesn't
say
have to be the same people.
Like 15 years from now.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
well,
It's
eventually their
sustainable.
team has to get its own following.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think that will happen?
I think for the Raiders it will. I don't know. Hockey in the desert.
I mean, they won a Stanley Cup. Like, if you
They
don't
did.
get a little
I mean,
bit
the
of a
place is
bandwagon going,
They won
The
a
place is
Stanley Cup,
electric.
and Bruce brought the cup here to
Right.
celebrate here because
just-
nobody in
right,
Vegas
in the
wanted to
desert, who
celebrate
cares?
with him.
Is that right?
Yeah, he brought the cup back here. And I know
Evan was
everyone's
mad about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's probably like losing. Like the Patriots are 1-4, and they're talking about fan bases in Las Vegas. But
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, we're playing Vegas this weekend.
This is what we do. Sunshine.com.
No, but I think like
Tune in at 4.
what it's going to be like during the game, I think is a factor. But it will come down, as we know, to just playing smart football, not turning it over. But I think I give the Raiders the edge.
Yeah.
You have to give them the edge right now.
I think they're cursed in that building until further notice, and I'm just not gonna pick the Patriots in that stadium.
I didn't really want to go digging in that preseason game, but what was like? It was just terrible offense, right? Like I don't really remember the details of it, but I remember
last
coming away
year?
All of that
last
was
year's
terrible.
preseason
they
game of like
they just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
Preseason
jump
game,
around.
they got thoroughly dominated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't even want to be there. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, they wanted out.
I didn't really want to bring it up or relive it, but I remember it not
Yeah.
being good.
We talked to the quarterback this morning.
He seemed chipper.
It was an interesting
Making jokes.
conversation. I thought one of the
Awkward laughs.
The biggest takeaway, the laugh was a little awkward. The biggest takeaway that I had from it though is him talking about how he hasn't been communicating very well with his receivers the last he said years, like couple of years. And, on film, I think that you can see it, especially with Juju. But I think in general, you're writing down and kind of making mental notes of like, I'm not really sure if that route was exactly ran the way that the quarterback is expecting him to run it. And he was talking about like having those types of conversations with his receivers of like, hey, on this route, I really want you to like, break it off like this, or, you broke it off at 6 yards instead of at 8. And that threw me off, or like those types of things. And I think that's all over this film, is just a lack of overall trust in what they're doing. Like, you're going to be in the spot and the ball's going to be there when it's supposed to be, and the protection's going to hold up when it's supposed to. And I think that's sort of the conversations that are going on behind the walls.
It's weird to hear, because I've always really thought of Mac as like a pre-snap field general, and that's not something that would.
Well, I think he's like sort of talking.
What's so funny, Paul?
I just.
Sorry, Taylor.
I think he was more talking. I know you're joking, but just to clarify, he's more talking about like coming to the sideline after coming off the field and going up to a Pop Douglas, a Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Gesicki, and saying, hey, on that route, I was really kind of expecting you to be here, and you were just like there, and
that's
that
the
threw
Brady
me
thing
off.
too. The Brady thing was like, you were on this blade of grass, I needed you on that blade of grass.
Correct.
Like, that's how quickly.
And I think that's all over the place with this offense right now, is just an overall lack of, it's not synced up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about last year where like the drops weren't synced up to the routes and like the spacing was a mess. I'm more just talking about like the chemistry of the players themselves.
Okay. So I also thought it was interesting again, and this is the second week in a row. The question was posed to him. This was kind of about starting over. That was the theme post game. And into Monday, when they changed the schedule, and we thought maybe there would be changes, but Mac was asked what starting over entails, and he talked a lot about his footwork. He focused on his footwork, but his eyes. And I keep talking about his eyes because that's what looks to me like the problem is that he is too quickly looking at the pass rush and being affected by the pass rush as opposed to keeping his eyes downfield.
Yep.
Marry that with something Bill said this morning about the pressure stats.
Yeah.
Which, Bill's a little like Paul. Yeah, I'm not buying the stats.
That was an easy way out of that question, huh?
Right, yeah. Well, I don't know about
why don't
those
we
stats.
just watch the games then, Bill?
So, and this is why I think that maybe, the problems that we're seeing are not just going to magically go away. I think there's some internal stuff going on. And Bill said, yeah, I'm not really sure about those pressure stats. There are plays that he's pressured. There's plays that he's not pressured. In other words, it's not all about the pressure, guys. So the quarterback's got to play better too.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's what they're trying to hammer to him is like, you'd have to trust what you're seeing and just run the plays. Keep your footwork. His footwork has been a mess. We've talked about that. Evan talked about that, to Evan's credit, when he was playing reasonably well. Mm-hmm. He was talking about some of the throws he was making with kind of bad footwork and mechanics. So there's a lot of stuff to fix.
Does he have the yips? Is that?
I think he has the yips.
I think
right
he's
now,
seen
yes.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Is what I think. Like, I think that even in the clean pockets, you look at an antsy quarterback. Like, it's just an unsettled, antsy quarterback. And if I see him throw with his feet parallel to the line of scrimmage again, I'm going to, you got to cut that stuff out, right? Like, you got to cut out the fadeaways, the back foot Mac, the parallel feet to the line of scrimmage because you're just bracing, for contact. And I think in a lot of ways, that's playing quarterback. You got to step into the throw, and if you get hit, you get hit. That's the position.
Both Bills were asked, was Mac going to start this week, and both said yes. But what happens if Mac has a bad practice?
I think it goes to the point Bill O'Brien said, where it was, look, we want to have a good fundamental day today, and we'll see where that gets us. And tomorrow, so I think even they are pulling back on, when they asked Bill O'Brien, he's like, I think so. It wasn't like,
but Bill
of
said,
course.
Bill
not
said
making any
yes.
changes.
Bill said we're not making any changes.
Right.
I wonder if that is everything or just quarterback. I think he was asked specifically just about quarterbacks. I assume it was just quarterback. But if they don't make some changes on the offensive line, then I don't really know what they're doing. Like, if they roll and, in health permitted, right? Like, if Mike Onwenu and Cole Strange aren't available, then they can't play those guys. But they have to find something better than Vidarian Lowe. They have to find something better. Like, I don't. whether it's Riley Reef out there, Onwenu out there, for the love of God, calling La'el Collins and offering him a contract. Like they have to find somebody better at right tackle than Vidarian Lowe, and I'd hope that the guards get healthy. And they get, and you talk about like starting over, like that's the whole mantra here this week. Like, why don't you just go back to the line that you thought you were going to have? Like, what's wrong with that? Because this is clearly not working. So even if Riley Reef looked rough at tackle in training camp, it can't be much worse than this.
No.
So let's just go back to in March when you signed the tackles. You said it was going to be Brown, Strange, Andrews, Onwenu, Reef. Like just play that on Sunday and see what happens.
Though, you just don't know though with Onwenu and Cole Strange still hurt. Like you know what I mean? That's the complication of it all. And I mean, I see what you're saying. We saw Onwenu walk through the locker room yesterday, and he wasn't limping or anything. Looked okay, but
yeah. Speaking of injuries, Judon's still not on IR.
Yeah.
So they do think that he has a shot.
I mean, even if they thought he had a shot, like they could put him out.
Still put him on IR.
He's not coming
right?
back in 3 weeks.
He's not playing the next 3 games.
No, right. That's what I mean.
So I don't really understand. I don't understand it.
I think it's financial.
Oh, okay. There's a money thing to it.
I think that there's nobody that they deem worthy of the roster spot, so there's no reason to give a raise to a practice squad player by signing him to the 53-man roster.
That seems weird. I mean, we're talking about pennies, right?
But no, I mean, yeah, but like who on the practice squad is going to get his spot right now?
Farms and Munson are the ones that have already been promoted twice. So those would probably be. I mean, Farms would probably be the top candidate, or maybe Rieger if they like him. I don't know. I'm not really.
It's Rieger been promoted twice.
No, just once.
Just the first week. Yeah.
I mean, they put Christian Gonzalez on IR, knowing that his season was over, but also because they wanted to make a roster spot for Riley Reef. So they put, that was the transaction.
I mean, you could wait and see with Thornton if they have to, if they're going to activate Thornton or Cody Davis or Trey Flowers, then
I'm going to assume,
this
might be a bad assumption, but I'm going to assume that Thornton is activated this week, so someone's going to have to go.
Yep.
Right. And then you'll see the move because there's somebody worth taking his spot.
But will it be him, or will it be, one of the receivers that's dealing with a concussion? Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I hope that Juju is on a personal level. I hope he's physically okay.
Obviously, yeah.
But
Fred's the only one that roots for injuries, and not for Patriots.
Placing him on injured reserve, and we talk about like with Mac. Both Bills were asked about mental breaks from. That guy might just need a mental break and a physical break, and just
a break generally.
Just in general, like it hasn't worked.
It's a break up.
It hasn't worked out, and it's almost kind of convenient. I hate to say it that way, but like now you have a reason to not play him.
Exactly.
And it's not like we're all going to sit here and be like, you have this $16 million receiver on the
safe face.
We're sniffing around the same thing, Evan, right now. Just get him out.
Right? Yeah. All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Webradio@patriots.com is the email address. Let's get to the phones. Patty's in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
What's up, Jen?
Hey,
Patty.
I just wanted to go over a couple things, a couple positives, and then I want to address what one of the things you guys said yesterday. Paulie, the interview with you and Rodney Harrison and Matt Smith was absolutely friggin' awesome. I forgot to call in last week and tell you that, but
thank you.
My only complaint was that it was too short.
Yeah, he was a little busy that night. He squeezed us in, so we took what we could get.
Yeah, I understand. He's out of all my 30 plus years of being a fan, he's my second favorite Patriot of all time behind Brady. Even though he was
Drew.
Yeah,
me too.
Brady? Oh.
Yeah, Drew's up there too, but he was just great.
Harrison, Fred will tell you, Harrison supplanted Drew in my rankings.
Yeah,
that's how much I like Rodney.
Me too. I'm very excited to see what Taekwon could possibly bring to this offense this week if he's activated. That's the one positive I had. And when you guys were saying yesterday, will fans after Bill retires, will they come back and cheer him? Of course, it's preposterous to think that everything that he did for this franchise. I mean, you look at the mess that he inherited in 2000, and the next year they win the friggin' Super Bowl. And Brady wasn't Brady then. Say what you want. That was mostly, a full complementary team win throughout those playoffs. and I would say 0-3 and 0-4. You could make the argument for that too. But just the mess. I said this after the Dallas game. I mean, this offense. It's not gonna unless Tyquan Thornton is the savior. It's probably not going to get any better this year.
Yeah.
I hope. I have my fingers crossed, Freddie. But
all right.
I think it kind of is what it is, and that's all I got, guys.
Thanks, Patty. Let's go to Eddie in L.A. What's up, Eddie? Eddie. All right,
Freddie.
call back.
I
Michael's
blame
in Miami.
Freddie.
What's up, Michael, on line 3?
Oh no.
Hi, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
line 3's
crazy.
coming.
It's too
Good
clear.
job. Good
Yeah.
job, Morel.
Perfect. So just, there's just been so much negativity around the team lately, so I thought maybe we'd take it into a positive approach. And I'm only 27 years old, so obviously I've been so spoiled now for so long. And I remember my first game in 6th grade, staying up late to make sure I got to watch that Monday Night Football with the Bills and Pats and, watch Brady have that 4-minute comeback at the end of the game. And it's just such a great memory of mine. And I'd love to hear some of y'all's favorite memories from games over that dynasty run that really take you back to the good old days and just to appreciate what Bill and Brady have done for the franchise. Thank you.
There'll be time for that.
Yeah,
right now we're just
we'll do a little of that in the offseason.
we're just worried about
That was a
beating
good
the
game.
Raiders,
I was at that game.
yeah.
That was a fun game.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Well,
at that
well,
game.
People were leaving.
Those are off-season shows, reminiscing about
Trivia,
Yeah.
Mike. Trivia. If you recall, Brady threw 2 touchdown passes to Benjamin Watson in
Yeah.
the last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Who fumbled for the Bills to give the Patriots the ball back?
Leotis McKelvin.
Excellent job.
Wow.
Good job.
Oh!
Really good.
Well done.
yeah.
Brandon Merriweather, Big Bang Clock. I think
Leotis McKelvin.
what was he doing bringing it out? I
Act
mean, you
like
talk
little
about
kids.
you talk about dumb decisions that help open the door.
So I actually think it was the right decision to bring the ball
Yeah.
out because he wanted the clock to run down to the 2-minute warning, which is something that if a Patriot had done during that time, we would have written books about. The only difference is the Patriots returner wouldn't have fumbled the ball.
Ron in Conway, New Hampshire. I only have a couple thoughts, considering that our season, in my opinion, is over. So Thornton is supposedly off IR, and Mack will start. Our O-line still sucks, and I feel like Mack has lost the team, and they don't trust him at all, which is why there's constant mistakes. I'd love to blame Mack 100%, but I can't entirely. The most gray area in the wide receiver room is Tyquan. I mean, is he really going to, play or start? And if he does, will he actually make a difference in the game before he gets hurt again? This team is in disarray right now and has no focus. As far as Bill saying they're starting over, what the hell does that even mean? Anyway, just asking your opinion on things.
It can't
Can-
possibly be worse.
Yeah.
Can Thornton make a difference?
Nobody is making a difference at the moment.
Yeah,
So,
that's-
might as well try. And I would
Anybody.
say the same thing about Keyshawn Boutte at this point, who I'm
Yep.
not the biggest fan of in general. But at this point, if he can catch one like he did in the preseason and break a tackle and make a big play happen, all for it.
Maybe score a
just
touchdown.
Let the kids play. Let some new guys get in there. It's clearly not working with Devontae Parker and Juju and Kendrick Bourne. So what's the harm?
I can't see Parker's snaps getting limited at all, though. It feels like no matter what, he is going to be out there, and Mac's going to keep taking those shots to him.
Yep.
That part's frustrating.
Let's go to Spee in Fresno. What's up, Spee?
Yeah, I loved Paul's line, "Why is Fred on birth control?" yesterday. That was so hilarious. It's like
more
the
kids.
classic PFW where you sneak a good one in there.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Because you're always yapping.
I'm always yapping.
Mike's good at those. Fred is just more over the top. He'll just knock you over the head with my ass.
I live for those.
So, on old PFW shows, someone used to say that it's maybe a little dangerous to try and to figure out what's going on in Bill's mind. But I did have a question about that. Maybe you guys could help me better understand it. Because he consistently acts like he doesn't maybe care what anyone else thinks, but that's got to be a total front because he's obsessed with the history of the game, and he has to care about his legacy in it. So, unless he's gone Mr. Magoo right now, and I don't think he's done that, he must think that everything that's gone on post Brady with his coaching and GMing like somehow they're not damaging his legacy. Like he must be thinking that either history is going to forget these 3 or 4 years, or they're going to blame it on everyone not named Bill. I mean, that's got to be what's going on in his head, right?
That's a tough place to get into. I mean, I don't know. I part of me wonders if like he preaches, and I like this about him as a coach, is that he preaches, focus on today, focus on the moment, and I just, it's impossible, I'd say, for most people not to think about those things, to think about the big picture and, oh my God, like, geez, it's been a really rough run and everything I've been doing is bad. But, part of me wonders if he really, really just kind of stays focused on, we lost last week, we got to, play better this week. Like, you know what I mean? If he really lives that, but I don't know how he would do it. I mean, I certainly know if myself in that position, it would be snowballing for me. All the, the decisions that I made that haven't worked, and, it feels like you're trying to help the team, but in some ways you're hurting the team, and I don't know. I mean, it's a tough person to figure out.
Yeah, when I say that I don't think that Bill cares about what people think, I'm talking about fans. I think Bill very much cares about what peers in the history of the game thinks. I think don't you think, Freddie, that he cares about his legacy and how he's perceived?
But but are those people going to change? I don't think that those people are going to change their minds.
I don't either. But
it's us in the fans and
when we're saying he needs to make a change at quarterback,
mind.
he doesn't really care what Paul thinks that they need to do at quarterback.
I think he cares about making the right decision and winning.
Yes,
but I don't think what other people think is going to affect those decisions.
Right. Like that's what I.
Yeah.
I guess that you said it better than I did.
He believes in what he believes.
Yeah.
And that's how that dictates his decision making. The question is.
Yeah, and part.
Is
it antiquated?
Right. Yeah. That's one of the questions.
That'd be
kind of
my
connected
biggest
to Mike's
one.
point there before about kind of selectively maybe forgetting and just putting on blinders and going on to the next week. There's an advantage to that, but there's a disadvantage of that too if you're not making bigger picture adjustments in parallel with that.
Yeah, kind of the macro view of it. I don't know. I mean, it's we had him this morning at the press conference, and it's the same old Bill. Like you would have no idea they're 1-4 and coming off of 2 of the worst losses that he's ever coached the team to.
Yep.
Weird. All right.
Thanks, Spee. I mean, the problem is he really can't say what he's thinking, because to his credit, he's not going to throw people under the bus. We all need to do better. We all need coaches, everybody. That's what it is.
But it's his fault. So in order to throw people under the bus, he'd have to throw himself under the bus first.
Yeah.
They're in this position because of him. So to sit there and if I give him credit, I guess, for not pointing fingers, but if he starts pointing fingers at other people, then it's well, wait a second. And I think that's where, to a degree, I think that's where Mac comes from with it. Is you're blaming me. You're telling me that, well, 50% of the time, Mac, you're not under pressure, even though 50% of the time I am. And then it, affects the clean pocket, stuff as much as it does the other stuff. And I have nobody to throw to. But it's my fault.
You're talking about GM Bill. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and Coach Bill.
He built the team.
I'm talking about Coach Bill, too.
I think both Bills.
Yeah, I still have faith in Coach Bill. I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive.
No, well, first of all, anybody that has been watching the Patriots for 2 decades that feels like Bill is still a good, why would that be wrong? This guy has put together a program unlike any other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think anybody that thinks that he can still coach at a high level is wrong. You have 20 years of evidence to prove your side.
Yeah.
I just don't like some of the things I've seen coaching-wise. And my big thing is the thing that I always talk about is just his mentality of how you structure a team now. And I think the whole notion of the big play receiver, he does not agree with.
Yeah. But what's interesting, Paul, I was actually thinking about this because we've talked about this a couple times. It's I get that he believes it, but there's a disconnect because he's got the 32nd ranked special teams in the league for the 2nd year in a row. Things are going wrong that even he subscribes to. If the Patriots still somehow are the best special teams, and they're 1-4, and but it's what's the disconnect for him? He can't even execute what he believes now.
And it's so everybody points to Chad Ryland, right? And it's so he's 4 for 8. If Nick Folk was here, what would he be? 6 for 8? Probably 6 for 7, because they probably wouldn't have attempted the 57-yarder
yeah, right.
in the rain, right? he missed a 48-yard field goal last week in a game they lost 34-0, and he missed a 48-yard field goal the previous week in a game they lost 38-3.
In a dome.
Right?
Right. That it wouldn't make a difference.
So in other words, if Nick Folk was here and made all the kicks that Chad Ryland has missed, you'd be 1-4.
Yep.
Which is kind of my special teams point in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like it does. I'm not excusing the fact that they haven't been good on special teams, because it's not just about field goal kicking. They haven't been good on special teams on a consistent level through the 5 games. They had plays here and there. They had a good punt return. I think Marcus Jones had a good punt return the first week. Ty Montgomery had a good kick return the first week, and the blocked field goal was outstanding. There's been a lot of bad plays too, not just missed field goals. I think everybody puts this with Chad Ryland. You had Nick Folk. Why'd you fix something that wasn't broken?
Yeah, but like
to what end?
And to your point too, like where's Chris Board? Like we were. This is he trumpeted him last year when he came in with the Lions, and
well, but to Paul's point, who cares at this point?
Chris Board lined up incorrectly on a kickoff. That was one of the penalties. you know, lined up improperly. This is the guy that you targeted as one of the best special teams players in the league. Matthew Slater has 3 penalties. Now, one of them was garbage because it wasn't his fault that he was out of bounds and happened to go back in, and the ball bounced into the back of his leg, and he was called for illegal touching. That's a little unfortunate, but it's just, I think, indicative of.
I mean, special teams are important when you're a competitive team. That could be the difference between winning or losing a game. But when you're getting blown out, it doesn't matter.
And I get it. Like last year, you're giving up multiple kick returns for touchdowns. You're getting punts blocked. That are big. That's like disaster special teams that's costing you games. That hasn't happened this year. Even though your special teams are struggling, you're not giving up kick returns every game and getting punts blocked every game.
Yeah, the special teams thing is what it is, but I don't know if he's particularly game planned all that well on defense, and that's supposed to be the one thing that we can always hang our hats on, is that Bill will have a plan defensively, and they'll figure it in all the games this year, besides I guess the Eagles game, I think they had a decent plan, but that was also week 1 and they had all off season to prepare, and the Eagles were sloppy, and Mike McDaniel pantsed them again when he played the Dolphins. The Cowboys right down the field.
But I'll even go with your point for the game plan. First drive of the season, the Eagles went right down the field, had goal to go, and you forced a field goal.
Because he tripped all over himself.
Okay, no, but they went right down the field, and you ended up getting a stop. But my point is the other team drove 70 yards, kicked a field goal. The next week, Miami drove 70 yards. That was the game that Tua tripped on third down. Field goal. But where is I'm playing now against the Jets. It was a 3-and-out because that was the Jets. And then again, first drive of the Dallas game, right down the field, field goal.
Well,
and most of these were followed up with another scoring drive. By the way,
this conversation
at the beginning of the game, they're not ready to play defense either.
Yep.
And then this conversation is going to happen next week with the same thing with Josh Allen. All right, what do you got this time?
How many years are we going to go before?
Right.
Basically, and this is one thing I kind of agree with Bedard on. They've sort of just given up trying to defend the Bills and the Dolphins at this point. They just go into these games and are just don't hang 40 on us, right? We're gonna play 3 deep safeties, or we're gonna play against Josh Allen. We're gonna just play soft zone coverage and just keep the top on the defense, and just as long as you guys don't score 40 points, then we're gonna be fine. That's okay with us.
They're being outscored 36-6 in the first quarter. That's not all picks.
And imagine if sixes. And imagine if you went back into last year with that too. I mean, it would be even more
some
glaring.
Pick sixes, because that's been a problem.
Yeah. But with Josh Allen, I'd love to ask him, do you change the plan? Have you evolved the plan? I mean, none of them have worked, but each time you face him, do you come up with something different to try to throw? It just seems like we're going to spin the dial and try not to let him hit deep shots on us, and then hope that he's going to throw us some interceptions. And if he doesn't, we're going to lose for 7, 8. However many times
we'll lose 31-17 instead of 45-17.
All right, Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots and proud partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. Paul's Pizzas are here. We'll be right back after this.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
We are back with the PU halftime show. Matisse Bauman here with Mike Dussault, Evan Lazar, Alex Francisco. Full house today.
Oh yeah.
Let's get into some trivia first. Don't answer it as always. And this is to win a Patriots Unfiltered T-shirt.
Ooh,
all right,
nice.
The official one with the sticker on it, right, Alex?
Yeah.
Evan will sign it for you. If
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Not the knockoff on Twitter.
Okay, question 1. In December 2005, in a game against the Buccaneers, which offensive lineman caught his first NFL touchdown pass after lining up as an eligible tight end? All right.
I don't know that one.
All right, that's question 1. Question 2. The Patriots' first playoff game in franchise history was in the AFL in 1963. They defeated the Buffalo Bills in the AFL divisional playoff 26-8. However, they lost the AFL championship game 51-10 to which other AFL team?
Oh, okay. I know that one.
And question 3. This is going to segue very well into our topic for the day, all right? What year did Gillette Stadium switch to artificial turf?
Oh, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Send your answers into webradio@patriots.com. And, guys, that is the topic for the day. It's a big, hot topic in the league. Natural grass.
Hot topic.
Hot topic. Natural grass versus artificial turf. What should the league go by? We know what the players want. What are your thoughts on
Just
it?
like whatever makes the most money. Like, how can we make the most money? I don't really care about health, ACLs, just money. We need concerts. We need high school football games. We need to be able to do multiple. No, I mean, that's probably what the NFL thinks, and that's I don't think there's really much chance of. I mean, I know the World Cup's coming, Matisse, and you're a soccer guy, so I know that there's FIFA. Don't they have to have?
It's required that all stadiums must be grass, to certain specifications. When players such as Messi and Thierry Henry come to the MLS, they sometimes have it written in their contracts that they can't play on turf. It's a legit thing.
So it's
Imagine
coming
being
here,
worth that much money that
right?
you're just
I
don't play in these games if it's turf.
Yeah.
It's
I don't write on any keyboard other than plastic. I don't want it
right.
Right, can we have our own things like
Oh,
that?
my finger got jammed in this plastic keyboard. I'm hurt.
If it's raining, I work from home. Is that can I set that
if
precedent?
the drop ceiling is dripping on me from my desk, I won't come. Oh wait.
Oh, that is what's happening.
Oh wait.
But so here at Gillette, they're going to replace. They're going to put grass in for a couple of years,
probably right before 2025,
Yeah.
and then through the 2026 season. And who knows if the issue will be resolved by then? Who knows? But
I don't think there's any issue to really be resolved. I just don't think the NFL's ever going to go back to grass because, for here, they couldn't do concerts, they couldn't do high school games, and I don't want to ruin what the trivia was, but it was a total mess, and that necessitated literally the switch on the fly.
But
of
wasn't
what
that
they had to do?
Isn't I'm not, me, I'm not this football guy like that, but isn't that football
yeah.
Corey
Oh,
Dillon with the mud on the jersey
I
and
think back to
100%.
04 Peyton
oh,
Manning
yeah.
when we were just battering him, and his white Colts jersey was just brown and green.
Yeah,
Well,
just
that's
the way it's supposed to
I mean,
be.
I think
That's
to
what
be
I want
fair,
it
though,
to
there's
be.
a line that if it gets too muddy, this isn't football anymore. This is just
A mud guys
fest. Slopping in the
mud.
Playing in the mud.
What's that do?
I don't know.
In the longest
NFL
yard
gone
when they
Oh yeah,
when they
some backyard bullshit. Okay.
Whoa,
That's the first
whoa.
PU
that
halftime show.
out.
Swear.
So I
That
have
wasn't me.
I have some some analytics
Oh, yeah?
on this
From the
some
L22?
data. So I guess from a player perspective, the NFLPA and players, slit film turf is the problem. So that's the turf.
Slit film.
Yeah, that's the turf at MetLife. That is a disaster, along with my voice. And that's the
Just take a break. Cough.
Just
that's
one of those.
the turf that Justin Jefferson just got hurt on, as well in Minnesota. So
Yeah.
slit film turf needs to go. Other types of turf apparently
are
better,
But
not
that-
slit film.
That just really accounts for injury-wise, not necessarily the dangerous chemicals in
Oh.
I
almost
don't.
all.
I
of
got to
the
admit,
home.
Alex,
PFAS.
I don't think anybody cares about the chemicals.
Well, the state of California cares. There's currently multiple lawsuits right now. Martha's Vineyard here too, pretty close to home. That's, Mike, to your point.
Yeah.
I think the only way this changes is if it literally gets banned by governments and by states,
'Cause I
which you're
heard-
starting to see
right.
happen.
In the-
California, there's lawsuits. There's a lawsuit in Martha's Vineyard. But yeah, like these PFAS are like really dangerous forever chemicals that if you're practicing on this turf all the time, if you're playing games on it, I mean, they've been able to try and link the cancer diagnosis, rare brain cancer. A bunch of Phillies players all got the same type of cancer that they linked back to the turf that they were practicing and playing on. So the links are starting to get made. It's kind of in its infancy right now, but I think we're going to start to see lawsuits, especially in the more earthy, crunchy places throughout the country. It'll start there, but then it'll really expand, I think.
I was about to make a joke that, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's just a giant football field floating, like, like in a vortex out there. But I won't, because that sounds...
It's on top of the trash pile.
That sounds pretty serious. They're going to just play on that out in the middle of the Pacific. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what kind of injuries there are when they do go back to grass, and if there are less injuries, then perhaps the NFLPA will have some ammo to say, hey, is there a way to get around like you guys still being able to do concerts and use the field throughout the week? I mean, we know here how much there's always just teams of concert people out there. You don't hear any construction right now, which is rare, but usually you do, because that's what they're doing. They're setting up stuff and putting stuff on top of that.
I also wonder, is there like cleat technology that we can get into?
Yeah, magnets.
That because I think a big problem is that players, their feet and their cleats are getting stuck in the turf, and then they go to cut, and their foot stays and their knee goes, right, or their hamstring goes.
AI cleats.
So is there something that Nike, whatever, can do to update cleat technology?
But are they wearing normal cleats on turf for the most part, or are they the turf cleats?
No, it's normal.
The cleat technology.
The thing I want to get into, there are two parts. One is everybody talks about the injuries. You see Aaron Rodgers' Achilles pretty much explode. That's on turf. But then the next week or 2 weeks later, Nick Chubb has that catastrophic injury, and that's on grass. So it's kind of like, oh, look at this. But it's like, no, it's football. Stuff happens. But what's interesting is people don't talk about a lot. Lambeau Field has one of the only types of grass like this. It's grass that's mixed with turf.
Yeah.
And that's why, remember back in the early 2010s, once you hit playoff season, it was straight brown mud. But that's why Lambeau's so good now, because they're using a hybrid. And I mean, they still have all the concerts, because I don't think there's any other place that have concerts in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I think there's at least one more stadium using that hybrid too.
Trash.
Trash.
Trash. I like the other one better.
Gurf.
Gurf.
Well,
a lot of gurf.
Let's get into that gurf technology and maybe use some of Evan's cleats, and we'll come up with an answer.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm challenging. Is Nike a sponsor, Matt? Can I do this? I'm challenging Nike to make better cleats for the turf. Do better.
Why don't they just wear, we couldn't wear cleats in indoor soccer, could you?
Well,
we had
no,
to
you had
have
to wear
special...
Sambas, guy. That's
yeah,
how they
now
became
they're
so
coming
hot.
back.
All right, guys, good topic here.
I think we got to the bottom of it.
We got,
that felt quick.
Nike.
Gurf.
Let's bring in a chemist
Nike.
next to
Well,
talk about
the
it.
girl we found on Instagram, we're gonna bring her in. The health guru.
Yeah.
But
Fasting MD on Instagram.
Exactly. All right, guys, send your answers on the webradio.com. Thanks for joining the PU halftime show. Let's get back to it.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
I wasn't born for 85, obviously, but my dad, my uncles, grandfathers, they would tell me about stories about that Super Bowl, and they were just happy to be in that Super Bowl, and they knew they were going to get their doors blown off by the 85 Bears. They were
up 3-0.
There was no conversation of whether or not they were going to win that game, but the Packers Super Bowl, they probably should have won the game, just the way that the game unfolded. And to me, Parcells is as much to blame. I mean, Reggie White, like, can we don't put a tight end over there, chip him, like do something.
This is all retroactive ever. Because how old were you in '96?
4.
He's so mad about this.
Like,
You're kicking off to Desmond. Little baby Evan getting mad, whipping his blanket.
That's another great moment from
Score big with Bob's unbeatable savings on power reclining furniture, perfect for Paul and game day viewing. With features like hidden drop-down tables for snacks and bevs and convenient USB ports, you'll never have to get up and miss a play, but only when you shop at Bob's, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots.
Did it say Paul in the copy?
I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have a power recliner, Paul?
Yeah.
You do?
I do too.
Well, they're part of the sectional.
Yeah.
It's not like a separate recliner.
It's like battery operated, or like you don't
No,
have
you-
like
electric.
No, you plug it in
Yeah, and it's
to
just
the wall. And,
Does it massage too?
kick your
no,
legs out.
I do
ours
not
doesn't
have that.
massage.
No?
that'd
But
be
it's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice.
You don't even have to pull
get
the
it at
thing out to get it
Brookstone?
up.
What's that?
Did you get one of those at Brookstone?
No, I
Did you?
it's from Bob's.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got a real customer here.
Yeah. Real
Ringing
testimonial.
endorsement.
There you
So
go.
maybe the next time you can put Evan's name in the copy.
Maybe
Sure.
you can
Hi, I'm Evan Lazar.
Maybe you
You
can-
might know me from.
pay off my.
When I'm watching all
my payments.
22, I need to be comfortable because it's an
Yeah.
all-day affair.
That's true. I sit in the recliner. That's where I sit.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I pictured you at a desk with notes.
It's like one
and
of those
Nope.
like
couple screens,
one of those lights on his head, for a little
Nope.
extra.
No, me and
couple Diet
me and
Pepsis in the
recliner.
helmet.
And like sometimes Atlas like wants to join, and I'm just like, all right, like fine, but then he gets in the way, and
He sees the Patriots film and he's like, "Woof!" And you're
Yeah.
like, "You said it, Atlas."
yeah.
All right, 855-PASS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline at the halftime show, the show within a show. We gave away, what did we give away?
T-shirts.
He's gone.
Yeah,
He's gone.
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Mike, do you know the answers?
I knew
okay,
two
so
out of the three.
So
I
give me
think. Yeah.
a second.
In 2005 of December, in a game against the Buccaneers, which offensive lineman caught his first NFL touchdown pass after lining up as an eligible tight end? Who was it?
I don't know. I'm gonna
Tom
guess
Ashworth.
that. I was
Tom
gonna guess-
Ashworth is
I was
correct.
gonna guess that. Oh man.
Bart in Poland won. I don't.
Oh, another one to Poland.
Yeah, I don't think this is Bart's first rodeo. I think he's won. Oh, he won a Poland.
Bart cleaning
Good for
up.
Bart.
We're big in Warsaw.
You'll get neither of those because it involves shipping. Okay.
How's March?
The Patriots' first playoff game in franchise history was in the AFL in 1963. They defeated the Buffalo Bills in the AFL divisional playoff 26-8. However, they lost the AFL championship game 51-10 to which other AFL team?
Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers. Tim Henson, our friend from Duncan.
Hey,
got
all
that one.
right.
And finally, what year did Gillette Stadium switch to artificial turf?
2006.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Jonah Hughes got it.
Bad loss to the Jets.
Correct.
Which
we pouted during the week off.
They made changes.
They did that.
We're actually going to change the whole field over the bye week.
All right, 855-PASS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Matt, I see a lot of IT people coming in and out. I'm getting nervous. What's going on?
They're replacing a computer in the other room.
Okay.
Nothing on our end.
Nothing on it. Okay, good. All right.
Line 3 sounds wonderful.
Line 3.
What'd you do?
Better. Yeah.
I just restarted it.
You guy.
All right, let's get back to the Ace
what I
Ticket
would
hotline. Christian's in
Unplug it.
Georgia. Another Christian. What's up, Christian?
Hey, guys, glad to be here with you guys. I just had a quick question. You guys touched on it yesterday. So you talked about drafting a quarterback in the draft this year, but in my mind, you roll with Mac through this year and next year because all of you have acknowledged that the offense does not work. It doesn't work with any quarterback unless it's Patrick Mahomes. So you either let Bill O'Brien fix Mac or you draft a quarterback in 2025. But this year, you draft a guy that can actually come in and help the offense, whether that's Marvin Harrison, Olu Fashanu, even a Brock Bowers who can be a true number one, like even though he's a tight end. What do you guys think? I'll take it off air.
It's one strategy.
Yeah.
There's logic.
It's well
to
thought
it.
out.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel right now. I mean, I think it all changes if you're have a shot at the guys we've talked about, Caleb Williams, Jake May. But it's just you can't keep chasing the
bottom line, regardless, I think, is you're drafting offense first.
Yes. Oh, well, no question. I mean,
Who's-
you got
who's running the board.
Yeah. Wow.
No, but if this person, if Christian from Georgia is, he's certainly, regardless, even if you don't have a shot at the top QB, you're drafting offense.
If they're picking like 7th, then a Brock Bowers or somebody like that probably makes more sense. But I think, just looking at this class, this is a really good quarterback class. And I know that 2021 was also a really good quarterback class. And really, it looks like Trevor Lawrence might be the only really good quarterback to come out of that class.
But wait a minute.
Well, Zach Wilson,
was it really that good a quarterback class, or were we just dealing with
which
what
class?
we had? The Justin
Max.
Fields class and Max class and all that.
I think it was a good class.
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they haven't panned out other than Lawrence, but I mean, they were well thought of.
I think basically what I'm saying is, have we lowered the bar for QB prospects?
No, I think we've done the opposite, actually.
Yeah, I
I
would
think
agree with
teams are
Evan.
getting smarter about it. Like a few years ago when Kenny Pickett was I think the only first rounder, right? And they didn't take
No one reached.
They didn't take the cheese on like Malik Willis and Sam Howell, who ends up actually being okay. But like, I think that teams are getting a little bit smarter about it. This quarterback class, between Williams, Penix, and May, you're talking about 3 elite quarterback prospects.
Do you think
Elite.
of and this is probably not the right time for this, but like, do you add like Sanders or like J.J. McCarthy or any of those?
I don't
guys?
add J.J. McCarthy. No, I think Sanders
So
is
my biggest
interesting.
fear is they're going to draft Mac Jones, J.J.
So
McCarthy.
if you're telling me that like you're gonna draft a guy like J.J. McCarthy on day 2 and try to like Jalen Hurts it, where like he's gonna push the first round quarterback and that type of thing, I guess like that's fine. Like that's not what I would do, but like I'm saying like that's not the worst thing in the world. Schroeder's interesting, but I ultimately I think he goes back to Colorado because of his dad.
And the money.
Yeah, so I think he'll go back to Colorado for one more year. But if I have a chance to draft Williams, May, or Penix, I don't really care about Brock Bowers. I'm taking the quarterback.
So my big thing, and I like the call because I thought there was some good thought that went into it, not just like I don't want to do that because that never works. No, he's thinking about what to do. My big thing would be this is all sort of hinging on what you're doing at coach. Like he says, let O'Brien try to fix Mac. Great. That means Bill's staying. Bill Belichick.
Not necessarily.
Like, probably.
I think there's a good chance that Gerard Mayo is the head coach and Bill O'Brien's his offensive coordinator.
Then I would say that I want a new quarterback, if that's the case, and I'm really anti that plan. But that's just that's a personal thing. I think if you're staying with Belichick, then I think it makes some sense to do with the caller. It was Christian in Georgia. That was the caller, right? I think what he says makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Give him a 4th year, still affordable, still time to do the Evan plan of putting some higher priced pieces around him.
Yeah.
Because he's still technically on the rookie contract.
And then if he's gone, you have the pieces.
I would just be really wary of drafting a skill player and handing him to Bill Belichick, because I don't think that Bill Belichick has proven to be able to develop that position. So
what about a skill player and handing him to Bill O'Brien as the offensive
like a little
coordinator?
bit better, but like if Marvin Harrison gets into his first game and fumbles, is he going to be on the bench for the next 5 games, or are they going to let him keep playing?
Right.
Like, I just those types of things are where I don't know. I can't trust Bill on offense, period. Like whether it's a quarterback or it's a skill player.
Well, let's see what David in New York has to say. What's up, David?
David.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
So I had a show point and then a draft point, actually.
Okay.
So the show point, I find that the show is at its funniest when Fred goes completely off the rails and when Paul references a top 40 song from 10 years ago. I'm still laughing about the "How does my ass taste?"
That's not off the rails.
Well,
what
I don't know,
top
it's just
40
not something
song
you
from
Fred
10 years
Fred
ago?
say, you know?
What's that?
He might be doing the NSYNC thing.
What
He
is
said
that?
it's got to be
Something
May.
you-
That's
Will you
like
be
20
quiet,
years ago.
Paul?
Oh, yeah.
It's David's time.
Evan
to talk.
asked a question.
I know, but he's trying to talk. I can't hear what he's
What do you
saying.
yell at me for? I didn't
All right.
do it.
Am I having connection issues or? Is it
No. You're having Paul issues.
Fred's talking over you, so you
Okay.
can't hear.
Okay, so my draft question was, Paul mentioned it, I think it was yesterday, the comment of, how Caleb Williams has his list of teams that he prefer to go to, and he mentioned the Patriots aren't on it and thinks that's a concern. he did also say in that same quote that he would play anywhere, and don't you think that people weren't expecting the Patriots to be in this situation, so that's why he would leave them off?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, how about you hire his head coach and they can come together? That's what I would do.
That would be wild.
That's what I would do.
I don't know. That's to me, that's too much.
Why is it too much?
I don't
Too
know.
much USC?
I don't know.
Dun, 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 dun,
Fight
dun,
on.
dun, dun,
I don't know. Do you really like him?
Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
Evans
Awesome
going to
coach.
need a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the whole point is to get the next Shanahan. He's sitting right there, and he's going to come as a package deal with the number 1 quarterback in the draft.
Do you worry if you do that, then the head coach is too biased for his quarterback and won't look at him objectively?
I don't think it's going to matter with Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Line 3 is getting back to line 3, but thanks for the call, David.
Line 3.
Yeah, we thought we had it, but
no, reverted. Started off the game pretty good with line 3, and then it just fell apart.
We're back to talking to Winston Churchill.
Is it practice time?
It's about that time.
Well, Evan's gone. He's going to practice. Eddie's in Maine. What's up, Eddie? Eddie. Is Eddie there?
Is that the second
Eddie?
It's 2 Eddie drops.
No, I got to drop Eddie. Eric's in New Jersey. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how you guys doing? Got 2 points. One for Marcus Jones, and then one little pushback for Paul. I think Marcus Jones, again, defensively, I don't think he's better utilized as a defensive back. I mean, if you can maybe switch his percentage, play percentage to the offense side. I know he said he wanted to play, he wants to be a defensive back, but just for his size and his style of play, again, the recurring shoulder injuries, I think it's just best suitable maybe to get his asset, use his asset,
I agree.
12, 15 plays a game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
As opposed to 1 or 2 shots, play the game that may, as a decoy, rather just get that likelihood. But just to push back on.
All right, just call back.
Boy, we're having trouble with the phone.
As soon as somebody tries to disagree with Paul, we're like, nope, you're out.
Good job, Matt. No, call back because I'm curious to see. I agree with this point on Marcus Jones. We talked about this a little in the summer.
Yeah.
I think Marcus Jones is electric. I have not seen really anything as a defensive back to lead me to believe he's anything more than a dime back.
Yeah.
Sixth or seventh defensive back in a good secondary. I see him chasing a lot. The size really worries me. But offensively, and as a punt returner, when the ball's in his hands, things happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be opposed to saying, let's make him more of a full-time offensive player and see if there's something there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
If he was healthy, that'd probably
no,
be something
now it's
we'd
different.
be talking
Yeah,
about.
But he
we'll see
didn't really
next
get a
summer
chance
now.
to play offense, it seemed, this year. I mean,
We never saw him do anything.
maybe once or twice. I don't even mean on the field during
Yeah.
the games because he got hurt right away.
Yeah.
He got hurt in the Miami game, right?
Yep.
Early in the Miami game, if I recall.
Donnie in Pittsburgh.
Donnie.
Any substance to the suggestion that Bill gave up on Mac and/or this roster he built sometime in the middle of last year? I think if you look at the draft, free agent acquisitions, from that point of view, they make a bit more sense as getting by moves, building toward 2024, when we will have a lot more cap to compete in free agency and a higher draft pick.
But why would you make that decision last year?
Right.
Like, if you thought that way now, I mean, I think there's validity to that. I mean, what are you going to put more resources into now? Like, you were talking yesterday about the Van Jefferson thing. You wouldn't want. No, I know. Yeah. But, you wouldn't want to put resources into that. No, and I know he went for a pick swap again because that seems to be the
him and a 7th for a 6th.
The in vogue trade is trading a 7th for a 6th. In a player. But I wouldn't want to give up anything that I deem at all valuable for a 1-4 team.
No.
Maybe at Halloween when the trade deadline comes around, maybe you've shown some signs of life. Maybe you're 3-4 then, or whatever, 4-4 even. Who knows?
Let's
play
go
3 games.
Let's
before
go back
Halloween?
to
No,
Eric.
probably
He can
only 2,
finish
right?
up his point.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Eric.
So
I'm sorry. No worries. I think even Fred, you agree with Paulie on this, where you guys say Bill's a good drafter. I think it's kind of hard to say Bill's a good drafter. I mean, you have to really compare him for like Ozzie Newsome. I mean, as opposed to the length of time that Bills, most coaches, GMs aren't lasting. Obviously, duration, Bill has lasted. But, to compare him to his peer, I would say like Ozzie Newsome would be most comparable just for length.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you would just say Ozzie drafted a whole better roster. Just from year over year, if you look at the players he drafted, and it's, so I think that was just, again, my one pushback, and I'll take it off the line. Thanks, guys.
No, that's fair. In my defense, I made the comment about how good of a drafter I thought Bill was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And my feeling at the time when I said it was Andy used to push back on that a lot. But my feeling was he never has glaring misses. Like, it's not the first-round pick that just can't play or the second-round pick that ends up getting cut. Now, in the last, say, 6-8 years, there's been a lot of those.
Yep.
Dominic Easley, Malcolm Brown, N'Keal Harry, Duke Dawson, Jawan Williams, Cyrus Jones. There's been a lot of first 2-round picks that really didn't have the ability to play in the league.
Cole Strange.
Yeah.
Well. The most interesting Patriots fan in the world, James, writes in, what's the NFL record for resets per season?
Yeah.
I believe it's 6.
We're on 3.
No, we're on 6.
I think, though, Paul, that's everything. I mean, those misses, and it goes back to what I was saying yesterday. It's like, he hit on plenty of draft picks over those 20 years. He's hit on some amazing draft picks. I mean, Brady, Gronk, Edelman, but it's just been the absence of those, especially at the high round guys, which you can't afford to miss.
And that's what my feeling was. And this is going back, like I said, at least 10, 12 years, this argument.
But like 2016.
All the first-round picks were good.
Mm-hmm.
It was Seymour, Mankins, Wilfork. It was like hit. I mean, like impact players every time. He never missed on a first-round pick until he did. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's, maybe it's the law of averages, but Fred and I used to, and we deserve our criticism for that. We used to be very defensive of Bill's draft record, me more so than Fred, but I deserve the criticism for that.
But I mean, drafting Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower,
That's
aggressively moving up.
That's probably the last time that I felt really good.
And you got a bunch of Super Bowls because of those draft
Since
picks.
then, it's been the Easleys and the Browns and, the Harrys and the Michelles and the Wins.
Yep.
Let's see.
Anybody
Roland.
notice it takes Mike physical pain to not say Chandler?
Yeah, it does.
It does. I have to
really
he
think about
he
it.
has to correct himself.
Roland writes in from the UK, at what point do we take back the criticism of Matty P? No, I think, listen.
I do your thing, because you were defensive of him.
No,
right?
listen,
I'm not taking anything back.
No. After further review, there's no doubt he was a square peg in a round hole. Okay? There's no doubt about it. However, I still feel he was asked to do the job. He did the best he could, and he didn't deserve the personal attacks that, were given to him, and I think he deserves a thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I still think that.
You got your apology. But I would just say this, and I never thought last year was solely about Matt Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be, accused of revisionist history here. Like, I think it was a terrible move. I think he was ill-suited. He had never coached offense, really. Certainly never coached offensive skill position players. I think it made no sense. And to me, the ire that went to Patricia, for me, was more borne out in the way that the players basically openly revolted against him.
Mm-hmm.
They had no respect for his ability to implement the offense. They openly questioned whether or not he knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, however, blame the lack of offensive production 100% on Matt Patricia, the way the vast majority of my colleagues did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I just think the perspective now is like, look at a competent offensive coordinator like Bill O'Brien, which, I mean, even despite the results, I think he's competent.
Trouble.
He's having problems, and it's just the roster. And
I mean, you could say it's worse.
Can you imagine Matt Patricia? Like, I mean, he's got to coach the offensive line too. Like, I mean, it's
right. It was
a
lot.
I don't know
situation that he was put in, and he agreed to do it. He could have said no, but he agreed to do it. Maybe he thought he could do it. Maybe he was overestimating his own abilities, but he gave it a shot, and I don't think he deserved the vitriol that he received.
Yeah, it's a Bill thing, and that just
that vitriol should have gone to the Belichick.
And it feels like
I agree.
You burned 2020, you kind of burned last year, and right now it's like we're hanging in the balance to see if this year's getting burned too.
Let's go to Ted in Maine. What's up, Ted?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I just wanted to ask, it seems like this has been a 4 to 5 year train wreck in the making, and that we're just seeing it start crashing, or really crashing at this point. So, yeah, I firmly believe like we gotta, if Max is on the field, we gotta get rid of him. We gotta fire Belichick. The Crafts need to treat Bill like Bill has treated his players for his entire career, getting rid of them sooner rather than later. So my question is, how many more consecutive losses for each of you guys before you feel comfortable even being part of the organization saying, hey, it's time for Bill to go? And then also, who would be your number one top pick to replace Bill?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks. I give him the season.
Yep.
Regardless, I don't care if they lose 60-0 for the rest of the season every game. He stays for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And then you make your move.
I'm with you.
I have no idea who to replace him with. I really don't. I mean, Lincoln Riley could be good. This guy Ben Johnson, if he can stop yelling at people, maybe he's good. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that much. I remember.
Is there a thing there?
Last year, what?
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, remember the caller that was?
Oh,
yeah.
yes. I'm sorry.
His kids play, Paul.
I mean,
not really.
I mean, last year,
CTE.
Last year when it became apparent that there was going to be a change of coordinator, we were looking at who could be the next coordinator, and I remember Ben Johnson's name came up, but not for head coach last year. Now, I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about, and I'm not an expert on
his
it.
name came up for head coaching around the league, not here.
Yeah, not here.
I just think that generally the theory of hiring an offensive coordinator, make him your coach so that you know that you're going to maintain your offensive continuity throughout the reign of the coach.
But isn't the bigger question
big
right
one.
now, if Bill isn't here, who's the GM?
Yep.
Isn't that as big a question, if not bigger?
Sure, and that's why it's, a nice relationship that they've got going, in San Francisco, and, you hope that you could maybe emulate that a little bit, and that, just it really protects the franchise. And I mean, I think this is a good point that's come up over the last couple of weeks of if, you do have a defensive coach, you're always going to be doing what the Patriots are doing, trying to turn over the roster. And, it's interesting here because Bill is so, connected to an offensive scheme, and, I assume that they've kind of maintained some semblance of that throughout each of the different, there haven't been a lot of offensive coordinators, but, he's always, that's why, it's like, well, of course they're going to bring back Bill O'Brien. Who else would he have brought back? There was no one else really to even consider, which I think in some ways might have been, maybe we should have looked a little bit more far and wide to see, can we maybe change the equation a little bit? Are we trying to get back to something that we're never going to get back to?
Thomas writes in, he's from Maine as well. He says, one comment, my developing take that I've had on Bill the last few weeks is that, Bill has earned the right to leave on his own terms, but has lost the right to stay on his own terms. I'll be interested to see how things work out in the offseason.
I'm with you, though. I mean, he's built this ship for 20 years, and, to make him, walk the plank right now, let him show us the way out of this. Because
that was quick.
Wow. And Evan's back.
All right.
Evan has returned from practice. Evan has returned from practice. Yeah, Evan has returned from practice. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
All right, Evan. Yeah, that was kind of quick.
What else is new? Michael Onwenu back at practice today for the Patriots. So, by my memory, which sometimes does fail me, but I think it's pretty good on this one. This is about as healthy as the offensive line has been since really the spring. I don't even know. I mean, they have.
You never had all five of those guys out there at once.
They have all five of the projected starters out of there.
Yeah, they're all out there, but Strange missed the last two games, and when you didn't finish the last game, right? So
they're there.
Knock on wood, this is the healthiest they've been, but that's scary.
That
Just
could be different.
having those guys physically out at practice,
Yes.
I think for maybe one of the first times all year that all five of them.
Yeah, because when you never practiced in the summer, right?
So Strange not at practice last week?
Yo, he's been in practice.
Yeah, he was, but it seems like he's getting closer.
Because definitely
for whatever
Reef,
that's worth.
Definitely Reef was not at practice when you and Strange came back.
Right.
So,
yep.
You have a chance. You're saying there's a chance, Freddie.
There's a chance.
You have a chance to get five. The five that you probably went into the spring thinking would be your starters.
Wouldn't it be funny? And anything could happen, but as the season progresses, the offense starts to be good, and then the defense fails because,
Well, that happens.
I don't know about
that
funny,
happens
but-
with bad teams.
Yeah.
Is you can't seem. It's like you can't get good pitching the day you hit.
Right.
Yeah. You can't. Your short game's off the day you're.
Well, that's every day
great
for
off the
me,
tee.
but whatever.
Yep. Same. Other than that, same attendance. The two receivers, Juju and Pop Douglas, not there in concussion protocol. And I keep listening to them until they put him on IR. Matthew Judon, obviously not there either.
You should.
But he's, some people have stopped. And I'm like, look, this is technically right. So I'm going to do it. Those three guys weren't there again.
Pads
on a Wednesday. It's we'll see. I was encouraged by what I saw from Riley Reef. That name is tough to say. Riley Reef on Sunday, as bad as everything else was, I thought that he played decently well, and the line improved once he was in the game. And so I do wonder, sometimes with offensive line, it's you make one change and then all of a sudden the thing starts to come together. It's just one spot becomes solidified, and then that makes it easier for the other four guys on the line. It brings me back to 21 when they put Ted Karras in the starting lineup, and then things kind of settled down from there. So you never know. You never know with these things.
And media, a lot of media going to Vegas. Are they talking about Vegas, where they're staying and all?
A little bit. But today was a pretty busy media contingent here, which, we were talking about earlier. I don't know if this was on the air or off the air, of just about how much, interaction we are getting from the emails and the callers and stuff, despite the situation. And there was a packed house there today. For Bill, for Mac.
New faces? People you didn't know? Or?
No, but just, full media contingent. And, the Bruins open tonight. And
Vultures,
so I
Freddie,
thought
Vultures.
maybe it'd be lighter because, let's focus on something more positive, like opening night for the Bruins. But people love the Vultures. They love the negativity, apparently.
So there's no grousing?
No, it's been nice out.
Okay.
We haven't really hit the cold practices yet. We were joking that we could probably use the same picture that we used yesterday, and nobody would know the difference because it's just kind of been the same.
Yeah, and you only got to see stretching?
Only stretching.
Okay.
Yep, very limited.
All
Yesterday
right.
we saw a little bit more, but there were less guys on the offensive line out there yesterday than there were today, so I don't know how much stock I would put into the combinations that we saw in that practice.
Does it seem like Onwenu's going to be kind of fighting something all year? Like, it just seems like this is going to be,
I
this
worry
ankle
that
thing is going to be.
Strange is, too.
Yeah.
Which is just so weird to me. Like, just the way that it happened and how he's been out there and.
With Strange or Onwenu?
Strange. It's bizarre.
I go
It's
back
strange.
to when he got hurt. And you remember the day he got hurt, how
so
long
clear.
he stayed out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
And did some work and
He's
was doing
doing his
running
little
for Jim
kickless
Whalen.
steps and is he
You
all
know,
right?
like he was imminently going back into practice that day.
It's strange.
And I want to say it was like day 2.
It's strange.
Yeah, Cole Strange being injured or compromised, I guess, he can't play like that. Onwenu, 75%
enough to make
of
up for it,
Onwenu
yeah.
is still better than anything else they got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did they try to simulate the crowd in Las Vegas by pumping and cheering and
Patriots
booing?
noise.
Just music.
Just music.
Just
Okay.
music when we were out there.
Was it Viva Las Vegas? Was it like Elvis? No.
No.
Tony Bennett?
No.
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 You too.
You too.
No.
The Sphere.
It's funny
Sphere.
because a lot of the practice music is like my generation rap music. Like, it's not the new stuff. Like, so that, like Keon White doesn't have the aux cord, right? Like, it's not the new, it's not new stuff. It's like mid 2010 rap.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny, that it's like Jawan Bentley or something like that.
Or you get country and you're like, David Andrews must have the
Yeah.
aux today.
Yeah.
The aux.
Cole in Denver writes in, I'll be in Vegas this weekend, and I need hope. If I have to witness 3.5 hours of the Patriots getting wrecked by the Raiders, then I might just gamble away my savings, bunny ranch my way out of a relationship, and imbibe myself into a rehab facility. I'll have to reinvent what fear and loathing in Las Vegas means. Please, what are Raiders' weaknesses? How can the Patriots exploit them? Why do they suck on offense despite having great weapons? Is their defense legit or a bunch of lames in Mad Max?
So their defense, if you want to be positive about the Patriots, I'll set the table for you a little bit. This is the worst defense by far that they've played this year. And I don't think it's particularly close.
I would agree.
Outside of Max Crosby, this defense is
Spillane.
really not great. Tyree Wilson, their first-round pick, has been a bust so far. He's been terrible. And they really don't have much talent outside of Max Crosby. A guy like Spillane is
a journeyman
coming out of the woodwork for
undrafted.
them.
Yeah.
They're 24th in DVOA on defense. They're 28th in pressure rate, despite Max Crosby leading the league in pressures. So he's literally holding their pressure rate out of the basement right now. They don't get to the quarterback. They don't blitz a lot because they can't, because they don't have the defensive backs to blitz a lot. So they are as vanilla and as bad on defense as any team. Like, the statistics say that the Dolphins and the Jets haven't been great on defense, but we know that those are great defenses, based off of the talent and the eye test. The Raiders' defense is not good.
It just makes me wonder, too, with Crosby being so isolated, that if it's really smart to replace Lowe this week, just because they're probably going to be like, put him over Lowe every snap. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably their key game point.
But the Patriots are
going to
have to say, we're going to devote 2 and 3 guys to him every snap,
especially on the right side.
Which is where he lines up like 90% of the time.
And this is also the secondary for the Raiders. And I was listening to Troy Aikman the other night talk about Marcus Peters, who is a pretty solid corner. He has a pretty good career, but it looks like he's sort of done. And they said he gave up like an easy pitch and catch out for like 12 yards early in the game. And Aikman made the comment, this is pretty much what you've seen. When you watch the film of the Raiders, he's given a lot of big cushions, a lot of easy completions. Now, he made a huge play in the second half of that game, sort of jumping a route, getting his hand on it, which led to one of the Mickey Spillane picks. And it's so, but I just think man-to-man, I don't
walked into my office. He had legs that went up all the way. What a set of gams.
The legs that went on for days. They don't play a lot of man-to-man well. They don't play man well, according to Troy Aikman.
So this is the Troy Aikman was onto something. So this is a weakness on weakness matchup. The Patriots
I'm setting them up.
are the worst offense in the league against man coverage, and the Raiders are the worst man coverage defense in the NFL. The Raiders are giving up over 9 yards per attempt in man coverage. They are getting absolutely shredded. But the Patriots average under 4 when the defenses play man. So whoever makes more plays, the Raiders defensive backs or the Patriots receivers, is probably going to end up winning this game.
It's like the opposite of like when you have undefeated teams and you do like the poster.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give,
It's like something's got to happen.
Hakeem the Dream tries to climb Mount Matumbo.
Neither team can score. Something's got to give.
One other thing that the Raiders the other night, they were missing 2 starters in the secondary and probably had their best game that they've had. And like I said, they had 3 picks. So you kind of wonder, we were forced to bring this guy up off the practice squad and start him. If maybe those guys played well, and now maybe they've sort of inadvertently added some depth to their secondary. I know
nice
Nate Hobbs, I think, sat out, and another guy.
Epps.
He played, right?
Did he play?
He's number 1, right? Yeah, see, that's why I was looking for my
I knew he was
looking for my
banged
stuff.
up. Yeah, Trayvon Morig, their safety, is a solid starter.
Yeah.
But and I like David Long, their other corner, but he's more of like, if he's your third corner, then you're like in decent shape. But anything above that is a lot. But their back 7 is patchwork right now, and like I said, their first round pick, who was supposed to come in and be the bookend to Crosby, has been terrible. So,
Exo writes in.
Exo,
I think what we're
Gossip
seeing
Girl.
now, he says, is evidence that it was Josh McDaniels' offense, not Bill's.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not. I don't really understand what that means, but can I just tell you that the offense is actually Ron Earhart's offense, and they've been running the same system since Belichick got here.
Let's see, Kobe.
They've tweaked it many times, but that's where it was born from.
Kobe in Vermont. Last year, Paul posed a question to the fans if they were for Zappe or Mack. I want to know.
That was my little poll.
I want to know if the fans are with Bill or against him. I'm personally out on Bill as the Patriots head coach for next year. What are the rest of the listeners thinking? He thinks you should do a poll. We're not going to do that.
I'm not doing that now.
I think right now it's pretty obvious because I don't read a tenth of the emails that come in, and I can tell you that there's not a lot of – there's a few supporting Bill, but not a lot. Let's see. Brian writes in, I'm not sure how true the article was, but I do remember seeing a report about how Patriots coaches believe they could have won with a lot of quarterbacks instead of Tom Brady. That quote keeps coming to my mind, seeing this organization becoming more and more disastrous. Also, if Bill was okay letting people go past their prime, why can't he hold himself accountable and do the same? Wow.
So it was just finally found it. It was Jacorian Bennett didn't play.
Yeah, they're rookie.
And he sat, and Chris Smith also sat, who was one of their top reserves. So they had 3 different guys that play a little bit. Didn't play the other night. They brought a guy up off the practice squad, Tyler Hall, who showed up a little bit in the game. And I thought, despite Aikman sort of ripping Marcus Peters, I thought he was kind of active.
Yeah.
Now,
Hall didn't really show up last night for the Blackhawks, though.
Amik Robertson is the one who made the big pick at the end. So, maybe we'll see a different secondary.
Yeah,
I think what we've seen all year.
Other than the Christian Watson coverage bust and catch and run with the horse collar.
I wanted to ask you about that.
They were pretty well connected on the back end. Like, I didn't really see a lot of like coverage busts or like things like that, but in general there was a lot of space in zone coverage that Jordan Love just didn't really.
He didn't throw the ball well.
So I mean, it's really setting up to be an interesting one with how badly the Patriots offense need to find something, and here's kind of an opportunity for you. And we know what's waiting with the Bills and the Dolphins on the other side of this one, but
it's really like the pressure rate, like in terms of like the defenses. They, the first month of the season, every team that they played was top 8 in pressure rate. Cowboys were number 1. The Jets, I think, are 3. Eagles are like 6, and the Miami Dolphins are 8. Like, so you're talking about facing probably some of the best defensive fronts in the NFL right out of the gate.
So did you see that play with Watson that Evan just talked about the other night? Did you guys watch any of the game? So Peters ended up taking him down with the horse collar, right? Probably prevented a touchdown. And now, Florio is on his, white horse and having his.
They have to change the rules.
They have to change the rule, and that should be a touchdown.
Right.
Like, obviously, you could tell by the tone of my voice how ridiculous I think that is. But you guys can convince me, the 3 of you, if you think I'm wrong, and it should be.
No.
No.
That's like the hockey rule. Like, you get to have the penalty shot if it was a clear, lane to the goal. But
something like that.
No way. No way.
It's like in basketball they have
What's
like the take foul.
I'm a hockey
now,
ref.
right?
I can
Clear path.
It's more like clear path foul. Yeah, that's what I meant.
But my point is this. Okay, so I have no doubt it was a horse collar and that prevented a touchdown. Like, what's the difference between a face mask or pass interference?
Yep. And if he got his horse collar, he probably had an opportunity to get him another way.
But
you know what I mean?
It's a penalty. It's not a touchdown.
Yeah. People were saying it's a touchdown.
Mike Florio says that play, they should revisit that, and that should be awarded a touchdown. And it might have impacted the game. Well,
Mike
that's
Florio
why you
likes
do
to-
it.
Yeah.
Because you don't just give them a free touchdown.
Right.
That's why pass interference, you're taught, if you get beat, just tackle the guy.
I mean, and that's why I think in the pros they should keep it as a spot foul.
Right. It's
and
a
not
50-yard penalty, but it's not a touchdown.
Not like in college, right?
No.
Like, I really don't agree with that line of thought.
Yeah.
But
Me neither.
Almost never agree with.
I mean,
Florida's line
listen,
of thought.
like, you guys breaking away from you. There's nothing between him and the end zone. You dive. You're reaching out for anything. You don't dive saying, I'm going to horse collar. You're reaching for anything, and you hit the horse. You're not going to let go. You got to bring him down. But it shouldn't be a touchdown.
But the defensive players should be taught, like, by any means. Like, you're not trying to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
No.
But if I'm reaching out and it's a horse collar, or if I get his face mask and that prevents a touchdown, I don't want to do that, but that's what I have to do to stop the touchdown.
It's like in soccer, like if your goalie's out of the goal and you have to dive and hand the ball just to keep you do whatever you have to do. You know,
it'd be funny if they did like a version of the penalty shot though, where they like give the guy the ball at like the 30, and you get one defender to try to prevent him from getting into the end zone. It's like a football penalty shot.
I like that better than just awarding a touchdown. No, that's
like that drill, right?
That's
like
going to be a touchdown 99.9% of the time,
right.
Especially when it's Christian Watson.
Yeah, it's like that drill that they do. You know, they always are doing that angling drill. Like
yeah, they have that in lacrosse, like in
shot.
club lacrosse. Like instead of a penalty, they call it. What's the movie with Mel Gibson? He's the Scottish guy. They call it a Braveheart, and it's one guy against one guy.
Mano a mano.
That happens?
Yeah, in lacrosse, they do like club tournaments. They'll do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we never did that.
Yeah, it's called Braveheart.
I don't know if we did that in practice, but not like in an actual game.
Oh yeah, they've done it. Yeah.
So we brought it to games now.
Yeah,
I don't like
it's
that.
not like MIA. You'd never see it.
Is that another one of my 20-year-old references?
This is all like club tournaments. You know?
Yeah. Those were the days, the club tournaments.
Ryan writes in, I wanted to ask about your thoughts on the current team culture. It feels like we have reached a point where guys are not only not doing their job, but it feels like they aren't upset when other guys aren't doing their job. I think in order for us to get back to winning, there has to be a certain amount of accountability among the players. And we've talked about this over the years, like they're losing the leaders.
I agree with the leadership, Void. I think that just sensing like some of the things that Max said this morning, I think also echoed that like who's the one that's like pulling the rope the hardest. David
Bryant said something that made me think. He said, David Andrews is no doubt in the offensive line. He's the guy that but he specified it. He specified it to the offensive line.
Yeah, keep going with the other name that he used, which made me upset.
Hunter Henry.
Trent Brown.
Oh,
who's been a great left tackle for us.
Well,
he has been a great left tackle.
He kind of threw him in there, but like that's just the offensive line. You know what I mean? Whether it's Trent Brown or
well, he said Hunter Henry too. Hunter Henry came up as well.
But yeah, then he started rattling off people. But because I think he knew what people would say about it. But I think there is a devoid of people that have the cachet to be that voice.
And I think that's why it just kind of for me goes back to they need players to start stepping up and making plays so that they have some juice, and and that's what there isn't right now. There isn't a Willie McGinnis type, figure who's going to be the enforcer of it. And
as much as we love Slater, like he doesn't even practice with the team. Yeah. He's off doing his own thing, like okay, we love you. You're a great guy and all that stuff, but
how much impact are you really going to have on the game
right.
when it's like a Willie McGinnis doing
it hurts even more now that Judon's not out there because I think Judon was one of those guys like a Willie McGinnis type, but now he's not playing, so you can't rely on that. I think Juwan Bentley's another one of those guys that will do that, but Juwan Bentley doesn't hold the same cachet as a Willie McGinnis or a Mike Vrabel or a Teddy Bruschi maybe did back in the day, or a Hightower, they lack that sort of thing. And I think that's one thing that I've noticed is just a body language, just during games, Max saying this morning that they're not having fun playing and regardless of the score, they're just not coming out of the gate, in good moods. And it's why are you not, there's no energy and there's no belief, there's no buy-in.
And you just wonder too. And I mean, I don't mean this to be a shot at David Andrews. I mean, but it's just those guys that are leading are carrying everything in their leadership from what happened 5 years ago. And so now it's just, does it ring as true anymore when these guys are saying, "Yep, it's the same thing I've been hearing for David for 3 years."
A lot of good points. I do have concerns about that, the locker room, and
I think everybody's the biggest concern, Paul.
Pulling in the right direction. But I like a lot of the points you guys made about. Even because I do think David Andrews is tremendous. You wonder, some of the younger guys, listen to this guy talking about glory days again. Yeah. I get it. You guys won a lot of games before we got here. We stink. You're great. Yeah, you wonder if that's sort of the way it's taken.
But I also feel like that way from the head coach. Sorry to cut you off, Mike. I feel like that, the head coach is resting on his laurels, not literally, but just figuratively resting on his laurels.
Go to the owners' meeting. What do fans have to be excited about the last
20 years?
But Paul, you've brought up this a couple times, and I think for me you're kind of underselling it a little bit because you're acting like the drama isn't really the forefront. But for me, the drama is kind of the forefront.
The drama is the forefront for
right,
me.
but I think it's the forefront for me too, because if they're not all pulling in the same direction anymore, then it doesn't matter about trying to fix the offensive line or trying to get, Ramondre going or any of like the specific football teams. If they're not buying in right now, they're never going to get those things right. Or even if they do, something else is going to pop up because they're not really invested.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I do think that is the biggest thing that I'm concerned about, because I felt like Freddie, like after the Dallas game, you're like, okay, like I don't know if they're going to win next week, because I don't know if they're good enough to just flip the switch and win. But I would have bet anything that the effort and sort of the manner that the game unfolded would be 1,000 times different than that.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you they laid down, but I'm telling you there wasn't a lot of pushback after the pick six.
Once it seemed like they knew which way it was going, it was kind of just felt inevitable. And
so I'm more concerned with that part of it than anything else.
Yeah.
The reason I downplay it when I talk about it is because I know a lot of people listen to these guys. They always want to stir it up, and that's because he goes on Felger and Maz, and that's what Felger and Maz do constantly. They're not talking about their failures at X's and O's. They're talking about the team is broken.
Yeah, and at
1-4, it's
that
real.
might have been the final proof, the final nail in the coffin that the team needs an enema.
Yeah.
I mean, because like Paul said, most teams, when they get shellacked like that, they come back the next week and at least they fight. We don't want that to happen again. And it was the exact it got worse.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that ever.
And I get this talent is different, okay? So I know it's not a perfect analogy. Cincinnati went through the first 4 games, they were every bit as inept as you were offensively. Not an exaggeration. With far better talent, but they could not protect an injured quarterback who was playing poorly. And to the point where it culminates after a bad loss to a bad Tennessee team with their all-pro wide receiver saying, I'm always effing open. The next game?
True.
15 for 196 and 3 touchdowns.
He is always effing open.
No. But my point is they didn't get all mad. The guy was obviously frustrated because he wasn't getting the ball enough, and he thinks he could help.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, who has accomplished far more than Mac Jones has in the league, didn't say, is this guy calling me out? No. He said, you know what?
You're right.
I'm going to get – and all of a sudden Burrow's throwing for 350 like he normally does, and maybe the calf is not as big of a problem this week as it was last week. I'm going to guess it is. I'm going to guess it hasn't gotten much better since he's playing on it 5 weeks in a row. But all of a sudden their offense puts 34 on the board, and it looks a little bit more like Cincinnati because that's how you respond. And, again, I know it's not perfect because Jamar Chase is not in the Patriots locker room. I mean,
good or bad, it's groupthink. It's football. And to win, you have to have groupthink. And when you have a situation like the Patriots have right now, it's groupthink, negative groupthink.
Yeah.
And
that's why I think this matchup, everything we're saying, is just a really interesting one because of all the history between these two teams, the current history, last year what happened, but all the players and all the, coaches, staff, and, just the opportunity I think that the Patriots could have to win this one. Like it's, I think going into Dallas, and all right, if they're gonna lose in Jerry's world, it is what it is. But this is a game that you should win most times, and I'm just curious what they come out with. What kind of fight do they show up in Vegas with?
Why do you think this is a game that they should win most times?
Let me rephrase that. Not this team, but I would say.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like most times, like this is a team that a normal Patriots team. But like if this was even last year's team, we'd say I think they got a really good chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say that this is a team that has similar talent to yours.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't look at it as a game that you should win. And now that's
perfect. So where is the difference made by what team wants it more?
Right.
And so
that's
how bad do
why I
they
would
want
say
it?
we're different than most of our colleagues who have penciled in last week, this week, Washington,
the Commanders,
Indy,
right.
as all games the Patriots quote should win, because somehow they've convinced themselves that they have far more talent on their roster than those teams do. And I watched the game Monday night. I put together the matchups just like Evan's watching the film for his preview and game plan. I don't see an edge in talent across the board. I see some edges. Like I think the Patriots have a better defense than the Raiders for sure. But I don't think the Patriots have a Max Crosby.
It's like based on them winning 6 Super Bowls, they should win this game.
Right.
It doesn't work anymore.
Because they only have 3.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just as silly to say it that way.
I ended up, very rarely do I do this, but I actually watched the offense film for the Patriots another time through, and this time I wasn't watching for the normal reasons that I watch. I just wanted to watch like the body language and like the
that's been a big topic,
and like the effort and like the buy-in and really the effort. And I'll say this for them: if they are quitting, they're doing a really good job of like not like they're quiet quitting, right? Like they're not like obviously just not showing up. Like there's effort on the film, but you can tell that there's just like a little bit of something missing.
Right, and I think it connects to what the coaches were saying yesterday, where it's like it's always like one thing or the other, and that's that to me is it's not a team that's given up, but it's a team that's not completely engaged and on the edge of every decision and everything. Those teams that get rolling down near the end of the season where they're just making plays left and right, everybody's on the same page.
Little
they're on
things
a
are
string.
big things with this team.
Yeah,
the slightest hiccup becomes the flu.
Yeah.
And
they're fragile emotionally right now, and that's why this game, how it starts off. I mean, every play out of the gate is like
first quarter's huge.
That's just like I feel like there's a lot out there about like Trent Brown in particular that like he just like quit on that game the other day, and he had some bad reps. Like, don't get me wrong, but I didn't see him flat out quitting. There's some bad body language, especially after the Ramondre Stevenson Mac Jones fumble situation. Certainly
him and Hunter.
Some bad
Hunter
body
Henry
language.
On that play looked like they wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah, but I didn't see him quitting. I don't know if it's quiet quitting. Like they're still doing their jobs and going through the motions, but they're not really going that next extra
they're not
mile.
invested. Rick in Dallas, based on what I believe Evan said yesterday, it would be safe to assume the Bears used the number 1 pick on Caleb Williams. Is there any value on sending a mid-round pick for Fields and using their own top 5 to 10 pick on a wide receiver or tackle? Is Fields too broken, or could Bill O'Brien give him the coaching he never received in Chicago? Is Drake May a better prospect than Fields is now?
Probably yes, but this is the kind of stuff I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that line of thought. Now, I don't know where Chicago is, and I don't think Evan putting words in. I think Evan just corrected me in reminding me that Carolina had traded that pick to Chicago. I don't think you definitively said one way or the other, did you?
About them taking a quarterback?
Yeah.
No.
Now, I would probably say based right now, they probably will. They'll probably because it's probably going to be a new coach, and he's probably going to come in and want to have his own quarterback. But would you give a mid-round pick? Like if you could give a 5th-round pick for Justin Fields? I would think about that.
I mean, it depends on what your own plans are, I suppose.
Right.
But like,
it also depends on what Bill O'Brien thinks too. I mean, obviously, I don't want to saddle him with a guy.
So then you just have like 2 broken quarterbacks.
It's kind of like what the other caller was saying. Like if you can't get the top quarterback, start getting the pieces.
Yeah.
So if you're only giving up a mid-round pick for Fields, maybe we can rehabilitate him. And meantime, we're building up the pieces, and if it doesn't work out, then we go for the quarterback.
I just don't know why. Like you can make the same case for Mac, can't you? Like that you can just.
In this case,
the other guy did. Tristan from Georgia.
No, but in this case,
that was his.
In this case, your scouting says that Fields is better. Than Mac.
I don't know if, other than like just like physical like running ability, I don't know if how you really get there. Especially if Bill O'Brien's still the offensive coordinator, and this is sort of the type of offense that you want to run.
And before we get calls, okay, we all saw the last 2 weeks where Fields was excellent and Mac Jones was as bad as you could be. Right. We're talking about the entirety of the body.
I would just say until you know you got the guy, I'm all for any avenue. Take a shot on a quarterback, especially one with talent like Trey Lance. Any of those guys, like you want to bring them in, not spend a lot of money or not spend draft capital. I'm all for any quarterback you can bring in.
Gary in East Hanover, New Jersey, looking ahead to the future, what is your opinion of pursuing Steve Sarkisian as the next head coach? He's widely viewed as the best offensive mind in college football today. He has head coaching experience as well as great success as an offensive coordinator. He was an OC under both Pete Carroll and Nick Saban.
We know.
I feel
we got the resume.
I feel an offensive-minded coach is the way to go in the modern-day NFL.
Yeah, where's the NFL resume?
Yeah, no NFL resume, and he's also
Steve
a little bit of a
Sarkisian?
hothead too. There's
it's not good.
Oh yeah, and Atlanta wasn't great.
There's a great video of him, like somebody like a security guard, like they're waiting to come out for the game, and a security guard's like, "So hold on one second, sir."
Oh really?
And he lost his mind on the guy.
So
like,
we got another Ben Johnson. Now I'm in. Now I'm in.
I
gotta
love
find
Steve
it.
Sarkisian.
No,
I think he's a great coach.
he's been
but
great.
Why is he leaving Texas?
Yeah.
To come here and fix this mess?
And take a pay cut.
He's got Archie
Yeah.
Manning.
No.
Arch.
Arch. Oh, sorry.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play, but it's probably not going to be this
No.
year.
What year's Quinn?
This year,
seventh year senior, I believe.
Seventh year
yeah, no,
he's
yeah,
been around
Qu-
for a while.
Quinn Ewers is coming out. He's an
coming out.
interesting prospect.
But Texas
if they,
does, right?
They don't
just
go quarterback.
one quarterback plays 6 years, the next one plays 6 years. Like that's just how it works.
Colt McCoy.
Well, he's
Ellinger.
but Ewers is like their best quarterback in like a little bit.
This is a real
Yeah.
Evan's right. He can throw. He's not just a good college player. Like Sam Ellinger was a really good college quarterback.
Yeah, or like Colt McCoy or something. This guy can.
Scott in Washington, I love listening to you guys, but the Patriots need to show, excuse me, more toughness, and we as fans need to show more toughness. What happened to the fight we had during the Packers practices and games?
What? What fight did we have then?
Oh, the Packers
I mean,
practice.
they had fights.
Oh,
The team
like
did.
physical fight.
Yeah.
You lose 72-3. 2 games.
Let's see. Ron in Cambridge. Yesterday, when Deuce said it will be really interesting to see where this team goes from here after the blowout loss to the Saints, my eyes almost rolled out of my head. It took me back to 2020 when after Brady left, he says something similar like, it'll be interesting to see where the greatest head coach of all time takes the team now that Brady isn't here and they aren't butting heads. Deuce, this team's entire existence post-Brady has been the furthest thing from interesting. Bill and the Patriots didn't realize how good they had it with Brady, and I'm guessing you fall into that category as well. Wow.
Well, I disagree with the interesting because I think it's really actually been really interesting. I don't know what you think.
I'm waiting for the
definition of-
Seth Wickersham story because you know that's coming soon, right?
But like it also just it didn't have to be this bad either, right? Like just because it was never going to be as good as it was with Brady. We
No.
all knew that, but
No.
it didn't need to be this
It didn't
bad.
have to be this bad.
No, you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Who's the king of negativity is Mike Felger, right?
Yeah.
He's still stunned.
Right.
That this happened.
Yeah.
He was convinced that the ship was
Right.
just going to continue to go merrily along.
Right. Chad says, what you people are describing is swagger. This team has no swagger.
What do you mean,
The
you
lack of
people?
swagger stems from a lack of confidence. The team knows they're missing important pieces, and it shows. That's why I think the coaches gave them those sweatshirts. It was a message for the players, media, and fans to shut up, keep quiet, and stop asking for help. No one is coming.
Oh yeah, great. But when we were talking about, I thought about this too, like DeAndre Hopkins, and I was especially, I don't speak for you guys, but I was like pounding to every single table in this building to give DeAndre Hopkins whatever the heck he wanted. And a big reason why I wanted to do it was because he brings some swagger to the locker room. Like he brings a playmaker to the locker room who's got some cachet, who's got some pull, who's got obviously talent. And this team just has no belief whatsoever in the talent on the team, especially offensively, because they have no players like that. And last week he goes to Tennessee and has $160 and like 8 catches, right? And it's just like that was the type of like just juice that this team needed. Like they needed that influx of just swagger, confidence, whatever you want to call it. And by balking on those moves, they don't have any of it.
And now it's snowballing and like the buzzword is stink, stank, stunk, and they have no talent. And that's what they're hearing, I'm sure.
A little show critique from Ryan in Virginia. Says, Fred, you hit the nail on the head talking to Hardy as to why emails are superior to the phone calls. The hosts get to pick the best ones, and you read them yourself in order to get straight to the point. In contrast, way too many phone calls ramble, waste time, seem distracted, are hard to hear, or are generally unprofound in their questioning. When you take most calls, the world's original podcast devolves into lunkhead afternoon drive radio. At least Mark in the Bay was entertaining in an avant-garde sort of way. He was entertaining because Eric would get so mad.
I was only
him.
entertaining because of Eric.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's part of it. That's
He
why.
doesn't call in anymore. does he?
Or Fred at least needs to be ruder, read funnier to the callers. That will make it better. I don't want to be rude to our call. They're our best fans.
We'll make sure Hardy keeps
you don't
reading
have
those emails.
Yeah, you don't have Hardy's talent to read them all in, in dinner theater style.
Right.
Dinner theater. No, he's got to read them this week. We got to make sure he stays on those.
Let's see. Jared wants to talk about fullbacks. Jared in L.A. What I found fascinating is there was a time where Bill did things before everyone, started trends in the NFL and found success by innovating and pulling from college. But lately, it has felt like the pendulum has swung the other way. I want to start a discussion about fullbacks. The two most high-powered offenses utilize fullbacks, Dolphins and 49ers. Why is it that we went away from it when it's being used to great effect now?
That's different, though. It's different the way they use it. I mean, it's not the same as just having a battering ram out there for your running game. This is like, Kyle Juszczyk is a legitimate option for their attack. And so I think I'm not saying it's right, but I just think they wanted to get away from it.
If Jakob Johnson was a better pass catcher, would he still be here?
No.
No?
I don't
You
think
think
so.
they just-
No, I think when Josh left, I think they were take your fullbacks with you. We're done with that.
So Alec Ingold is the Dolphins fullback, and the Dolphins actually lead the league in 21 personnel usage with the fullback, and he's not Kyle Juszczyk. Like he's more of I've been saying this, like the fact that they moved on from the fullback, I still have not gotten a reason that I buy. Like that I think is sound reasoning. So you're telling me you can't throw the ball because the fullback? Well, Miami and San Francisco figure out a way to do it, and they have the most efficient offenses in the league. So you're telling me that you can't throw it because it's predictable or whatever. Well, I don't know. Ask Mike McDaniel how he does it then.
Yeah.
Because they're lighting up the world with the fullback on the field.
And I can just tell you with certainty that a member of the organization, that's how he explained it to me. They didn't like the predictability that went along with the fullback. So what Evan's saying right now is not wrong.
I mean,
they thought that was the tell. Every time Johnson was on the field, they knew they were running, blah, 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 blah. They needed to get rid of him when Josh got left. That's the way it was put to me.
But it's only a tell if you make it a tell. Like you could put Johnson and still throw to the guy out of the slot.
But I would also agree, and I agree with Evan that Alec Ingold isn't Juszczyk. He's not that athletic, but he can get out and do some things. He can move. I think Johnson's a battering ram. I think maybe it wasn't the fullback that was the problem. It was the particular fullback.
Yeah. And plus, too, I think the Patriots already had a slow offense to begin with. So it's like when you have guys on the outside like Debo and Ayuk or Tyreek and Waddle, it's not going to drag your whole team's speed down just by putting the fullback on the field. Whereas like the Patriots are already slow to begin with.
Right, but
then they put that
so
out,
they were in 21. They were 11th in rush EPA, and they had a great play action passing attack with the fullback, and their rush efficiency. Even with Ramondre going, over 1,000 last year, just in general, they've run the ball less and less well since 21.
Yeah.
And so that was with the personnel that they had in 21. Like, it's not.
This is a point that I don't think gets enough attention because Stevenson individually had a statistically strong year with 1,000 yards and average 5 yards a carry. The Patriots did not run the ball well last year by all metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stevenson broke a ton of tackles, and they did not run the ball well.
And I can't just help but think that the single back stuff, like in 21, you were a great running team. In 19 and 18, you were also a great running team. 20, obviously, you had a running quarterback, so it's like a little bit skewed in 20. Yeah. But in those years, you had the stationary quarterback with the fullback in the backfield, and you were an efficient rushing offense. Then you went away from the fullback, and now you can't run the ball.
Right. All right. A lot to continue tomorrow. But coming up next is the playbook with John Rook.
Step inside.
Evan will stick around for that. Do you stay for the whole show, Evan?
No, just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Andy Hart joining the playbook.
I joined Andy Hart for a podcast.
That's a huge tease. I think people will want to stay around for that for sure.
A huge head.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday. Picks. It's a big day. Catch 22. We'll see you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The World's original.